I still don't get why your mom named you Lucifer, she said, tilting her head with that teasing smirk. Like, seriously? That's next level edgy. The late afternoon sun spilled through the rooftop cafe windows, catching the sparkle in her eyes. Francisco William, 17, maybe 18, half African, half Asian, and all New York. The city ran in her veins. You could tell by the way she carried herself, like she owned the skyline. She leaned back in her chair, one leg crossed over the other, idly twirling a straw. Her skin had that golden warmth that caught the light just right. Long black curls framed her face, streaked with caramel highlights that looked freshly done. Her eyes, sharp, cat-like, had that familiar mischievous glint that always spelled trouble. Cropped hoodie, ripped jeans, spotless sneakers. Designer, obviously, but she didn't move or talk like a rich girl. Francisca was chaos wrapped in charm. Too clever, too sarcastic, and too real to fit in any box. If I didn't know you, she went on, elbowing him lightly, I'd swear you were about to start a cult or something. Dark cloak, candle circles, chanting Latin under a blood moon. You got the look, trust me. Then she laughed, light and melodic, like a breeze cutting through the city noise. Lucifer. Unbelievable. The boy beside her exhaled softly, brushing a hand through his dark hair. It was messy, but in that deliberate, cool kind of way. His skin was a deep bronze, smooth except for the faint scars slicing through his left eyebrow. And his eyes, those crimson eyes, were calm but piercing, like they'd seen too much too soon. You should ask for yourself, he said quietly. Oh wait, we don't even know if she named me, or who she even was. His lips curved into a small smile, but something sad flickered behind it, gone as quickly as it came. But hey, he added, forcing some life back into his tone, tomorrow's the big day. College life. You ready? Francisca's eyes lit up. Ready? Please. I'd trade my whole wardrobe just to get out of that house for good. She leaned forward, elbows on the table, curls bouncing. Everyone thinks being a William is so glamorous. It's not. It's pressure, image, headlines waiting to happen. I just want a place where I can breathe for once. Be myself. Then she grinned, looking straight at him, her partner in crime since forever. But enough about me. You actually got in with a scholarship. Mr. Idontron, anyone really pulled it off, huh? She dropped her voice and mimicked him perfectly. Hard work over handouts, Francisca. Lucifer cracked up. You got to stop doing that. You don't even sound like you, she shot back. Their laughter echoed off the rooftop, unfiltered and familiar. Lucifer leaned back again, gaze drifting toward the horizon. Clouds rolled lazily over the glowing skyline. His smile faltered as old memories stirred. 12 years ago, rain hammered the streets of Brooklyn. Headlights smeared across puddles, reflections breaking like shattered glass. A small boy stood under a flickering street lamp, soaked, shivering, but silent. His clothes hung off him, his shoes torn. His arms were crossed tight against his chest for warmth, but his eyes, those red eyes, stayed wide open. No fear, no tears, just waiting. Then a sleek black car slowed beside him. The door opened. A tall man stepped out, followed by a woman in heels that didn't belong on those streets. They looked at him for a long moment before she crouched down. "What's your name, sweetheart?" she asked gently. The boy hesitated, then said flatly, "Lucifer." The man glanced at her. "He's alone." She nodded once. "Bring him." He didn't resist, just climbed in, quiet as a shadow. The mansion felt like another planet. Marble floors, velvet curtains, the air smelling of money and polish. And then he saw her. Francisca, tiny, 5 years old, sitting cross-legged on a couch in pajamas too big for her. She looked at him like he was some strange new species, then hopped down, walked up, and poked his forehead. "You look like a cat," she said seriously. "A wet one." He blinked. She blinked back. Then she smiled. "You can sit next to me." And that was that. Back to present. Lucifer shook off the memory, a faint smile tugging at his lips. "You were weird even back then." Francisca arched an eyebrow. "Excuse me? You're the one who thought sleeping in a closet was normal." "It was quiet," he said deadpan. She rolled her eyes and tossed a napkin at him. The wind picked up, rustling their hair. Below them, New York sprawled wide and alive, buzzing with a million stories. Tomorrow, everything would change. New campus, new faces, new lives. But tonight it was just them. Same rooftop, same sky, same bond that started with a rainy night and a wet cat. Eclipse Lounge. New York pulsed under neon and rainlight. Traffic snarled, horns blared, and somewhere beneath the chaos, the city purred with energy. A sleek black Rolls-Royce Phantom slid to a stop outside an exclusive club, Eclipse Lounge, its violet sign glowing like liquid moonlight. The driver stepped out first, opening the back door with practiced precision. Lucifer emerged, dressed in a black designer suit that matched both the car and his mood. Behind him, Francisca stepped into the night, heels clicking against wet pavement, confidence radiating off her like perfume. Lucifer glanced at her. You know I hate clubs, especially when your friends are involved. Francisca looped her arm through his, lips curling into a pleading smile. Come on, just tonight. You know Pops barely lets me breathe, let alone have fun. Lucifer sighed, looking away with a smirk. TCH, you're lucky you're cute. Of course I am, she said, tugging him forward as bass rumbled through the door. That's why you love me. He didn't answer, but the faint smile tugging at his mouth said enough. The bouncers at the entrance didn't bother asking questions. One look was all it took. They stepped aside in silence. Inside, Eclipse was alive. Blue and violet lights bled across marble floors. Fog machines whispered. A chandelier pulsed in rhythm with a deep, hypnotic bass. VIPs lounged in glass booths above, holographic dancers drifting through the air like liquid light. Francisca leaned, close to be heard, over the music, her breath brushing his ear. Rooftop suite. Just us and a few people. Lucifer's eyes scanned the crowd. Let me guess, those few people include that loudmouth hothead and your cousin who thinks he's God's gift. She laughed. Maybe. The elevator doors slid shut behind them, sealing out the noise. Smooth jazz replaced the thumping bass. Lucifer leaned back against the wall. So, this is another one of your chaos nights? Francisca smiled up at him. You love it. I only love chaos when I'm the one causing it. The elevator chimed. Rooftop suite. The doors opened to a different world. A rooftop garden bathed in soft light. Floating tables. Low sofas. The skyline glittered beyond a glass railing. Half a dozen people were already there. Half drunk, half dangerous. Lucifer sighed as he stepped out. Yeah, long night incoming. Francisca clapped her hands, all grin and mischief. Then let's make it worth it. But before she could take another step, a voice slid through the air, smooth and sharp. Well, look who decided to show up. Francisca and her little shadow. Ella, lounging on a velvet chair like royalty, legs crossed, a glass of gold-tinted liquor in hand. Her gaze locked on Lucifer, all amusement and venom. Another voice followed, cool and teasing. They do love their dramatic entrances. Remu, perched by the glass railing, the city lights outlining her like a halo. Her smirk could cut glass. Lucifer didn't bother hiding his annoyance. And this is why I hate your parties. Francisca groaned. I was hoping they'd be late, or better band. Ella rose, swirling her drink. Don't be like that. We missed you, Lucy. Remu giggled. Yeah, it's not a party without our favorite grumpy celestial. Lucifer's eyes narrowed. I can leave. Francisca grabbed his arm. No, if I have to endure this, so do you. He sighed. Perfect. Just perfect. Then another voice, steady, calm, the kind that made people listen. Ella. Everyone turned. A tall figure leaned against the bar, a glass of red wine in hand. Franklin William. Though around here, no one called him that. They called him Mob. Silver hair, golden eyes, a lazy smirk. Charisma wrapped in danger. Rings glinted on his fingers as he raised the glass. You promised to behave, Mob said. That's the only reason I let you two up here. Lucifer eyed him flatly. You weren't enough trouble on your own, so you brought your cheerleaders? Mob chuckled. Before he could answer, Lucifer took his glass and downed it in one go. Mob didn't even blink. Just poured himself another. You're welcome. Lucifer wiped his mouth. Where's the hothead? Don't tell me she bailed. Something came up, Mob said, taking a sip. Urgent. Lucky her, Lucifer muttered. Francisca dropped into a seat with a sigh. Can we please not start a war tonight? Ella smiled. No promises. Remu giggled. Definitely no promises. Mob grinned, raising his glass. Then it's settled. Lucifer looked at them all and sighed. Yeah, it's going to be that kind of night.
Hey everyone, Firescale Audiobooks here. If there's a novel you'd love to hear more of, you can support us on Patreon or Ko-fi. Depending on your tier, I'll make extra parts just for the stories you're most excited about. Usually I can only upload 4 to 5 parts of each novel, but with your support, we can go beyond that. And of course, don't forget to hit subscribe. It helps more than you know.
The rooftop lounge was slowly filling up. More people, more noise, more energy. Neon lights from the city below mixed with the soft glow of lanterns strung above, casting everything in that dreamy, late-night vibe. Lucifer and Mob were lounging on a sleek sofa in the corner, drinks in hand, deep in their usual back and forth. I'm telling you, this fit makes me look like a damn K-drama lead, Mob said, brushing imaginary dust off his jacket. His fashion was loud, silver chains, layered shirts, designer, everything. But he pulled it off. Lucifer scoffed and leaned back, the red glow of his eyes catching the moonlight just right. Yeah, too bad you're standing next to me. Mob rolled his eyes and laughed. Bro, just cause your eyes look like they were designed in Photoshop doesn't mean you're hotter than me. It does. And you know it. Lucifer stood, a smug smirk on his face. I'm getting another drink. He strolled off, hands in his pockets, long black coat fluttering slightly behind him. Bam! The lounge doors slammed open. Heads turned. A young man stormed in, breathing heavy like he'd sprinted the whole way. His skin was a rich caramel tone, his sharp jawline tense with frustration. Short twists sat neatly on his head, and his eyes, fierce, golden brown, scanned the crowd like a hawk. He was tall, lean but built like a fighter, wearing a sleeveless hoodie and gloves with cut-off fingers. Where is she? Where's my sister? He shouted, voice echoing across the rooftop. Lucifer froze mid-step, drink half poured. Adam, calm as ever, leaned against the bar and held up a glass of wine. Relax, hothead. Your sister's not here. Ken snatched the glass without looking, downed it in one gulp, and marched straight toward Remu. Lucifer blinked, shrugged, and grabbed another drink. Not even a thank you, he muttered under his breath. Ken wasn't listening to anyone. Remu, he said firmly, I need your help. Remu raised an eyebrow, but didn't speak. Ken kept going. The full moon's intense tonight. Stronger than usual. My sister hasn't fully mastered her transformations. I need you to use a locator spell, track her down before something happens. The energy shifted. Lucifer turned back, brow raised. Hold up. What do you mean by transformations? And what the hell is a locator spell? Silence. Every face around the lounge turned toward him. Francisca looked away, guilt in her eyes. Mob looked like someone who just lost a bet he didn't want to win. Ella and Remu? They looked at him like he wasn't supposed to be part of this moment. Like he was the only one in the dark. And he felt it. That sinking chill in the pit of his stomach. They all knew something. Something big. Something he didn't. This isn't the time to argue about who knows what. Ken snapped, his voice sharp, eyes burning blue. My sister's out there. If she loses control, she could hurt someone, or worse, kill them. And if the hunters get to her first, he didn't need to finish. Everyone knew what that meant. We find her now. Then you can wipe his memory. It's not the first time you've done it, Ella, he added coldly, not even glancing Lucifer's way as he focused on Remu, the group's silent witch. But it wasn't going to go smoothly. As soon as Francisca heard the part about memory wiping, her aura flared. A sudden pulse of heat rolled off her as she stepped forward, flames sparking around her hands. What did you do? She screamed, charging straight at Ella like a firestorm. But Mob moved quick. He slid in between them, arms out, stopping Francisca just before she could unleash. Francisca, chill. This isn't the time, he shouted, holding her back. Angel's out there. People could die. We'll deal with all this memory stuff later, all right? Ella clicked her tongue in annoyance, then looked over at Lucifer with a smirk that could cut glass. Lucifer, standing at the edge of the circle, wasn't laughing. His jaw clenched. His hands trembled slightly, not from fear but from rage. "I'm not letting this go," he said, stepping forward. "I want the truth. Right now." That's when Ken finally lost it. His body snapped forward like a predator. His eyes lit up, glowing that bright, unnatural blue. Fangs slid down over his lower lip. Claws erupted from his fingers, and the hair at his temples spiked out into wild tufts as he roared at Lucifer. Lucifer flinched and stepped back. "Don't test me, Lucifer," Ken growled, voice rumbling like thunder. "I swear, I'll do something we'll both regret. So sit down." The air grew tense and heavy. Remu, calm and still as ever, raised her hand slightly, and a small, glowing portal the size of a melon shimmered into existence before her. She reached into it and slowly pulled out an old leather map, the edges torn and glowing faintly under the moonlight. Ken handed her a delicate gold earring, angels. Remu took it gently, then laid the map flat on a small round table at the center of the lounge. She placed the earring right in the middle. Then she closed her eyes. Her voice came low and rhythmic, not English. "Ashere Tana, Vesker Lumina, Feral Oesra." She moved her hands in tight, practice signs, the air bending around her fingertips as they began to glow with soft purple light. The earring on the map shuddered. "Narai Solmira, Talna Firish Vel, Tuar." The glow intensified. Her voice rose with each word. The earring started to melt. No heat, just liquid gold sliding across the map like it was alive. "Ash Veltern, Karina Shive, show me the path, unseen." The golden trail slithered along the map like a snake, zigzagging across towns, forests, roads, and rivers. Everyone watched, breath held, as the liquid stopped, right over an abandoned industrial zone just outside the city. Remu's eyes snapped open, glowing violet. "She's there," she said simply. "But she's not alone. I know there. I know where that is," Lucifer said, already taking a step forward. "Don't need it," Remu cut in flatly, lifting her hand. With a flick of her fingers, she drew a glowing circle in the air. A soft hum followed, and a portal opened right in front of them, swirling, unstable, glowing faintly like ripples in a dark lake. "I've got this. Learned it just yesterday," she added, a smug little grin tugging at her lips. Everyone blinked. That was advanced magic, the kind of spell that took months to even understand. "Wait, you just learned this?" Mob asked, eyes wide. "Yup," Remu popped the P and smirked like it was no big deal. Ken didn't care. Without saying a word, he stepped into the portal like it was just another hallway. Gone in a blink. Ella followed right behind him, barely sparing anyone a glance. Remu looked over her shoulder, her expression shifting from smug to irritated. "Well, you guys coming or what? I can't hold this thing open forever." Mob turned to Francisca. She hadn't moved. She was just staring at Lucifer. "I'll be back, okay?" she said gently. "I promise I'll explain everything. But right now, she needs us." Lucifer didn't reply. He just stared at her, quiet. Francisca gave him a small smile, then disappeared into the portal with Mob. "See you soon, puppy," Remu sneered with that familiar sadistic grin, winking before stepping through. And with a low crack, the portal collapsed in on itself. Silence returned to the rooftop lounge. Lucifer stood alone, jaw tight, fists clenched. His breath was shaky, chest rising and falling fast. His mind spun with too many questions and not enough answers. "Puppya," he muttered under his breath, eyes narrowing. He turned and stormed off, pushing through the rooftop doors, heading for the car. They wanted to keep secrets? Fine. But tonight, he was getting the truth, no matter what it took. Abandoned industrial zone. The air was cold, silent. Then, a low, haunting howl echoed through the shadows, drifting across the cracked concrete and rusted steel. Ken stepped out of the portal first, eyes narrowing. The others followed close behind. "That's her," he said quietly, scanning the area. But we need to be careful. I can smell others, a lot of them, inside that building. He pointed toward a half-collapsed warehouse, its windows shattered, faint lights flickering inside. Francisca stepped forward. Her hair lifted gently as heat pulsed around her. "I'll handle them," she said. Her eyes blazed fiery orange. Flames erupted around her body, blue, ghostly fire that didn't burn the ground. Her outfit shimmered and shifted, becoming sleek and battle-ready. Two glowing tails of pure foxfire flicked behind her, moving with grace. Her aura expanded like a wave of heat, intense, beautiful, dangerous. Mob whistled low under his breath. "Still can't get used to that." Ella smirked, flashing sharp fangs. "Already a two-tail, huh? Guess our generation really is something else. Well, except Angel, of course. Still can't control her transformation." And then she vanished, just blurred out, gone in a heartbeat. Ken gritted his teeth, staring in the direction Ella had gone. His jaw clenched, fists trembling, but he forced himself to calm down. He turned away, catching a stronger trace of his sister's scent in the opposite direction. "I'm going this way," he muttered, and moved out like a shadow. Mob glanced at Remu. "You good?" Remu rolled her eyes. "I'm not helpless." "Yeah, but your mana drops fast when you open two portals in a row," Mob said, already walking beside her. "You pass out. I'm not carrying you." "Liar," she said with a small grin. And with that, the two of them followed behind, disappearing into the darkness after their friends. The night had only just begun. Meanwhile, Lucifer pulled up just outside the abandoned industrial zone, his eyes scanning the place like muscle memory. He didn't need a map. He knew this place better than anyone. This was his escape, the quiet place he always came to when everything got too loud. He never really knew why, but this broken-down zone felt like home. He slipped through the side entrance, boots crunching on gravel, and headed for the old stairwell. The metal creaked under his steps as he climbed, hands in his pockets, eyes half-lidded. "I swear, if I don't get answers tonight," he muttered, breath fogging in the night air. He reached the top, pushing open the rusted door to his favorite spot. And then he froze. Standing just a few feet away, bathed in moonlight, was a towering wolf. 6 feet tall, bipedal, muscles rippled under thick silver-gray fur. Its claws gleamed like knives. Its eyes, glowing in eerie, electric blue, locked onto him the second he stepped in. A low, guttural growl echoed through the room, shaking the metal walls. The beast didn't move, didn't blink. Lucifer's breath caught in his throat. "Angel!" The wolf's ears twitched, but the growling only got deeper. Somewhere else in the zone. Bam! Ken kicked a rusted door clean off its hinges, the metal slamming against the wall with a loud clang. Dust floated in the stale air, thick and heavy. His eyes scanned the dim room, and his heart sank. Angel! There she was, lying in the middle of the cracked concrete floor, naked, bruised, bleeding. Her skin, usually glowing with a soft bronze tone, was now pale, scratched, and smeared with dirt and blood. Silver strands of hair clung to her face, damp with sweat. Her body trembled slightly, covered in old scars and fresh claw marks. She looked fragile, nothing like the strong, wild sister he knew. Ken rushed to her, his boots skidding slightly. But he stopped mid-run when he noticed the wall to the right, completely shattered like someone had been launched through it with terrifying force. Chunks of concrete lay everywhere. He turned back to Angel, kneeling beside her. "Hey, I got you," he said softly, gently lifting her into his arms. Her eyes fluttered weakly. "There's another one," she whispered, voice barely audible. "Still here." And then she passed out. Ken's blood ran cold. His jaw clenched. Another werewolf? Strong enough to do this to Angel? Shit. He stood up, cradling her carefully, his eyes flashing blue. "I need to warn the others now." And with that, he vanished, blasting out of the building in a blur of supernatural speed, nothing but a streak of motion in the moonlit night. Lucifer's heart skipped a beat when he saw the massive wolf glaring at him, its glowing blue eyes locked onto his. The creature's fur was matted and torn, but its fangs were sharp enough to tear through steel. Shit, he didn't even think twice. Without hesitation, Lucifer spun around and bolted for the door, his legs moving faster than he ever thought possible. He knew exactly what was happening now. Angel was gone, replaced by this ravenous beast, and if he didn't get out, he was going to be the next meal. As he reached the door, he could hear the werewolf's growl behind him, a deep, guttural sound that sent chills down his spine. But he wasn't fast enough. The werewolf pounced, its claws tearing into the ground as it lunged forward, just inches from Lucifer's back. He barely ducked through the doorframe, and it slammed behind him, but the werewolf wasn't done. It rammed into the door with a thunderous crash, with splintering and metal bending as the hallway shook. Shit! Lucifer didn't look back, but the sound of claws scraping against concrete filled the air. The werewolf was right behind him, a blur of fangs and fur, its glowing eyes burning with primal fury. She was already a hothead in human form. Lucifer muttered through gritted teeth, his breath quickening. Now she's just a monster. His heart pounded, and his feet never stopped moving, knowing full well that if he slowed down, that wolf would be on him in an instant. In another part of the zone, Francisca crouched silently on the rooftop, her fiery orange eyes scanning the dimly lit warehouse below. The hunters were still reeling, some nursing wounds, others strapping on high-tech gear. Their scent told her everything she needed to know. Tisich, they fought Angel, she muttered, her twin foxtails flicking behind her. But she was too much for them. Lucky for me, they're already tired. With a sharp breath, she leapt into the air. Crash! The building's lights shattered as her foxfire burst out, dim orange flames floating gently through the darkness like will-o'-the-wisps. Shadows danced across the metal walls, and her silhouette touched down in the center of the room, graceful, dangerous. Her flames curled around her form, just enough to let the hunters see her glowing eyes and burning aura. A kid soon, one of the hunters barked. Their leader stepped forward, aiming a sleek, futuristic rifle right at her. Everyone, don't underestimate her. These foxes are tricky. Stay sharp. Prepare for the worst. The team quickly formed a half-circle, laser sights, and charged gauntlets at the ready. Francisca stood tall, unbothered. I'm not here to kill anyone, she said flatly, her voice calm but sharp. But I'm not going to let any of you get in the way either. Before anyone could respond, she vanished, a blink of fire. Bam! She reappeared behind one of the hunters and swept his legs with a burning kick, sending him flying into a pile of crates. Shit, she's fast. One of them fired, pew, pew, but the shots only hit her afterimage. She zipped through the air like a phantom, foxfire trailing her every move. A gauntlet-clad hunter lunged at her from the side, swinging with electric fists. She ducked low, slid under him, then spun up with a burst of fire, whoosh, blasting him into the wall. She panted slightly, holding back her true power. These guys aren't weak, she muttered, but I can't go all out. One wrong move, and it's war. The leader aimed again, switching to stun rounds. Don't let her dance around you. Surround her now. 3 hunters came at her from all angles. One from the left, one from above, one right behind. For a split second, she stood still. Then, boom! A pillar of foxfire erupted around her, blasting all 3 away in a wide arc. They groaned on the ground, weapons short-circuited, but alive. Francisca stood in the center, tail swaying, her breath even. I'm not your enemy, she said again, louder this time. But if you come at me, I will drop you. You're the one in our way, the hunter leader said, stepping forward, his voice calm but heavy. We're here to hunt a werewolf. One that broke the code, slaughtered a mundane family. Brutally. If you're protecting that monster, then you're breaking the code too. Francisca's fiery glow dimmed. Her expression hardened. Angel, no. She gritted her teeth. That's impossible, she replied, voice low. My friend wouldn't do that. Even if she lost control, she'd never kill a human. Maybe livestock, sure, but never people. The hunter leader narrowed his eyes. Friend? You mean she? Francisca blinked. Yeah, Angel's a girl. The leader stepped back slightly, confusion crossing his face. Wait, no. The one we're after is a he. Massive, strong, savage. He tore through a whole family before we even got here. The other one, the one you're talking about, she showed up while we were getting torn apart. I think she stopped him from finishing the job. Francisca's eyes widened. The leader shook his head. If she's your friend, I don't think she's going to survive him. He hadn't even finished speaking before Francisca vanished, launching into the air with a streak of blue foxfire behind her. The roof above them cracked from a force. She didn't need more words. Angel was out there, and she was in danger. Meanwhile, Lucifer was sprinting like his life depended on it, because, well, it really did. Why me? Why always me? He shouted as he dashed down the ruined hallway, knocking over pipes and crates. Behind him, the werewolf, massive, furious, and very much not giving up, was hot on his heels. He glanced back mid-run. Yup, still there. Great. Just what I needed today. A furry death machine with anger issues. The beast snarled and leapt. Lucifer barely made the turn, but not fast enough, wham. The werewolf crashed into him, slamming him to the ground like a sack of potatoes. Dust flew. The whole floor seemed to shake. Pinned under heavy claws, Lucifer stared up into glowing blue eyes and a mouth full of sharp, angry teeth. Oh my God, he gasped, face pale. This is it. This is how I die. Mauled by a furry ex-classmate. The werewolf roared in his face. Lucifer flinched. Okay. Breath mint, please. Damn. Lucifer tried to squirm, to push the beast off him, but it was useless. The werewolf was too heavy, too strong. Its claws dug into his chest, not deep enough to pierce fully, but enough to pin him down. Enough to make him feel every second of helplessness. Come on, Angel. If that's you, I'm your friend, remember? He gasped, voice shaking. We've had coffee before. I carried your books once back in high school. But the beast didn't flinch. No flicker of recognition. Just those glowing blue eyes and that low, guttural growl rising steadily. Lucifer's breath hitched as the werewolf opened its jaws. Time slowed. He closed his eyes. Chomp! Blood splattered the walls like paint on a canvas. The roar that followed was wet, guttural, final. The hallway went quiet, except for the slow dripping of blood hitting concrete. Lucifer's body lay still, lifeless beneath the beast. Sucks to die this young, Lucifer muttered, floating in an endless void. His voice echoed like it was trapped in glass. If I knew I was going to kick the bucket, I would have blown all my cash on stupid stuff, and maybe told that one girl I liked her. He looked around. Nothing but black. Infinite, thick silence. Okay, so where the hell is this? He asked, frowning. This ain't heaven. Definitely not hell either. Did I get scammed on the whole afterlife thing? Just then, the darkness around him started to blur, like someone was messing with a camera lens. A rush of pressure pulled at his chest, and the next thing he knew, gasp! His eyes shot open. He was back, flat on the same cold floor, soaked in blood, but breathing. What the hell? I was dead. I felt it. Then, ding! A soft, electronic chime echoed in his head. Congratulations to the host for fulfilling the condition to awaken the progenitor vampire system. Bloodline, progenitor lineage. Assimilation will now commence. Lucifer froze. Wait. What the hell is a system? Ding! Secondary bloodline detected. Primordial lust demon bloodline. He blinked, confused. Wait, what lust demon? Analyzing compatibility. Result: incompatible. Power level: inferior. Commencing devouring process. The primordial lust demon bloodline is being absorbed into the progenitor bloodline. A jolt of pain hit his core like a lightning strike. He groaned, clutching his chest as the two forces inside him clashed. One wild and chaotic, the other ancient and dominant. Red sparks danced across his skin. Shadows swirled around him like mist. Assimilation complete. The progenitor bloodline has fully devoured and assimilated the lesser bloodline. Lucifer collapsed back to the floor, breathing heavily, the glow in his eyes dimming to a steady red hue. A grin tugged at the corner of his lips. Did I just eat a whole bloodline? His laugh echoed through the dark, empty building. This is going to get weird, isn't it? Lucifer was still lying there, chest rising and falling like he'd just run a marathon through hell itself. The blood on his clothes had dried, but his body felt different, alive, charged, hungry. Ding! That chime rang out again in his head, calm and cold, like it didn't care it just dragged someone back from the grave. System activation complete. Welcome, host. You have awakened the progenitor vampire system. Lucifer raised a brow. Great. A voice in my head. Exactly what I needed after dying. This system exists solely to guide you in becoming the next progenitor of the vampire race. Nothing more, nothing less. Lucifer sat up slowly, the red in his eyes flickering again like a dying ember catching wind. Progenitor? Like the king of all vampires or something? Affirmative. The previous progenitor has vanished. You are the chosen successor, selected by fate, sealed by blood, and triggered by death. Lucifer blinked. Wow, so dying was the tutorial? Exactly. Lucifer laughed quietly. Of course. To proceed, say the command, status. He paused for a moment, still trying to decide if this was a coma dream or some next-level fever nightmare. But then again, he was breathing after being mauled to death. All right, screw it, he muttered, pushing up to his feet with a grunt. Status. The air shimmered in front of him, like heat rising off asphalt. Then a crimson screen blinked into existence, glowing softly in the dim room. Host status. Name, Lucifer. Surname unknown. Race, half vampire, progenitor lineage, incomplete awakening. Level 1. Bloodline, progenitor bloodline, stage 1. Assimilated with primordial lust demon bloodline. Title none. HP 500 of 500. MP 150 out of 150. Stamina 220. Strength 18. Agility 20. Endurance 16. Intelligence 15. Charisma 28. Luck 9. Skills unlocked. Vampire lineage skills. Blood sense LV.1. Track the scent of blood within a 100-meter radius. The stronger the blood, the easier it is to follow. Regeneration LV.1. Heal minor injuries gradually over time. Higher levels allow rapid healing. Vampiric charm LV.1. Slight influence over weak minds. Charisma stat affect success rate. Enhanced senses LV.1. Sight, hearing, and smell have evolved far beyond human limits. Can see clearly in the dark, detect heartbeats through walls, and pick up whispers from afar. Assimilated lust demon skills. Allure aura LV.1. Passive. Emits a subtle lustful aura that lowers guard and increases attraction in targets within range. Touch of temptation LV.1. Physical contact may cause brief disorientation or pleasure spikes in targets, disrupting their focus. Emotion feed LV.1. Feed on lustful emotions to recover stamina and minor MP. System notes. Full vampire transformation pending. Evolution to full progenitor form will require bloodline strengthening, vampire core, awakening, title claiming. Daily quests and evolution paths will be unlocked once transformation is stable. Assimilated traits enhance the progenitor's charm and seduction potential. Bloodline evolution will unlock hybrid abilities combining lust and vampiric traits. Warning: using lust demon abilities excessively may cause complications. Lucifer blinked at the screen. Complications? What kind of system gives vague horror game warnings like that? Host has been warned. He sighed, standing up, his body still shaky but burning with new power. The world around him looked sharper, colors more vivid, and every heartbeat around him, he could hear it, smell it, feel it. Man, I'm seriously going to end up in jail if I'm not careful with this touch of temptation thing. He shook his head, chuckling under his breath. But damn, this power feels good. The system crystal blinked again. Quest update available. First blood. Objective: feed from a living being. Target may be supernatural or mundane. Warning: failure to feed in 24 hours may result in bloodline instability. Lucifer's smirk dropped. You're serious? Always. Lucifer cracked his neck and rolled his shoulders, a faint red glow in his eyes. Guess it's time to find a snack. With his enhanced senses dialed up, Lucifer could hear footsteps echoing closer. Hunters maybe, or just survivors, either way, not what he was after. He tuned them out. Instead, his focus locked on something else, a low, heavy breathing. Ragged, bestial. And that heartbeat, strong but not calm. It was the same one he heard before dying. His lips curled into a grin. There you are. The scent was familiar too. Iron sweat, wet fur. His eyes narrowed, glowing faintly red as he tilted his head, catching voices echoing from somewhere down the hall. Angel's fine. Ken's with her. Lucifer blinked. So it wasn't her. Everything clicked. The one who tore him apart wasn't Angel. It was another werewolf. One who didn't even stick around to finish the job. And that just made it personal. Hey, system, he said, stretching his fingers with a small crack. Be honest with me. What are my chances against this mutt? A beat. Physically, he's stronger than you. But with your current skills, and if you don't act like a dumbass, you can kill him. Lucifer chuckled. That's all I needed to hear. Then, in a blur of motion, he was gone, his figure vanishing into the shadows, leaving only a whisper of his voice behind. Time to pay back the favor. It's gone, Ella muttered, crouching low and running her fingers over the cold puddle of blood on the floor. And someone definitely died here. Remu stood behind her, arms crossed. Then where's the body? And more importantly, who was it? She turned sharply toward the werewolves. Anything. Ken stepped forward, sniffing the air. He frowned. Only scent I'm getting is from a werewolf. But it's not one I know. The group fell into silence, frustration settling over them like fog. No clues. No answers. Francisca let out a long sigh. Look, we came for Angel. We found her. She's safe. That's what matters. She stretched lazily, then waved her hand. I've got orientation tomorrow, and I need my beauty sleep. Let the hunters handle the rest. Mob didn't answer. His eyes glowed a pale white, pupils almost vanishing as he raised one hand to the air. A glowing magic circle formed above it, humming softly like a heartbeat. I wish it were that easy, Mob said quietly. But we can't just leave a rogue werewolf running wild. People could die. The circle spun faster, light flaring across the walls, casting long, shifting shadows. Everyone watched in silence as Mob channeled his divination spell. Let's find this bastard before he finds someone else. Mob's glowing eyes slowly faded back to normal, the magic circle above his hand dissolving into faint sparks. That way. He pointed sharply toward the dark stretch of woods ahead, then floated a few inches off the ground, his coat billowing from the rising energy. The monsters headed east. Tisich, show-off celestial being, Ella muttered, rolling her eyes before vanishing in a blur of movement, gone in a heartbeat. Ken turned to Francisca, gently placing his unconscious sister in her arms. Take care of her. Francisca gave a firm nod. Got it. Without wasting another second, Ken and Remu took off after the others, their figures disappearing into the night. Francisca knelt beside Angel, holding her close. A soft orange flame flickered to life in her palm, her foxfire. It gently spread across Angel's body, wrapping her in warm light as it started healing her wounds little by little. She sighed. You really had to go full beast mode, huh? The forest around them fell into silence again, the calm before the storm. Deep in the forest, high up on a crooked branch, Lucifer crouched like a shadow, crimson eyes locked onto the werewolf, slowly pacing below. Moonlight glinted off his fangs as he grinned wide. There you are, ugly. With a sharp flicker, he vanished from the branch, appearing behind the beast in a flash of black mist. SHLKT. His claws tore through flesh. The werewolf roared in pain, blood spraying across the leaves. It spun with rage, its massive arms sweeping out like a tree trunk. Lucifer twisted midair, but not fast enough. Crack! The backhand caught his ribs, sending him flying through 2 trees with a sickening crunch. Gah! Lucifer slammed into the ground, coughing blood. He dragged himself up, wiping his mouth with the back of his hand. Okay, stronger than I thought. The werewolf charged, snarling, each step cracking the earth beneath it. Lucifer barely rolled aside before a claw dug into where his chest just was. He reached out and grabbed the beast's arm, digging his claws in, only for the werewolf to bite down hard on his shoulder. Crunch! Ack! Lucifer screamed, driving his knee into the werewolf's jaw over and over until it let go, blood pouring from the bite wound. The beast lunged again, slamming him against a tree. Boom! The bark exploded, splinters flying everywhere. Lucifer's vision blurred as the werewolf raised both claws and drove them down. But he disappeared in a cloud of mist just before the impact. He reappeared behind the monster, panting, his body already healing thanks to the progenitor bloodline. Hey, he growled, blood running down his face. Remember me? I'm the guy you killed. The werewolf turned, teeth bared. I'm back, to finish what you started. Lucifer ducked under another claw swipe. Barely. The beast strike slicing clean through a tree behind him like butter. Bark exploded. Leaves rained. Damn, he muttered, staggering back, blood dripping from his nose. I can't go head-to-head with this thing. The werewolf snarled, eyes glowing blue. It was relentless. No hesitation. No pause. Just pure rage. Lucifer's back hit a tree. No more space to run. The werewolf pounced. But just before its claws reached him, Lucifer's eyes lit up. Blood red. Hypnotic. Vampire charm activated. The werewolf froze mid-strike. Confused. Dazed. Lucifer's voice came low and smooth. Velvet wrapped in razor wire. Stop. The werewolf twitched, its body trembling as if fighting an invisible force. It growled, confused by its own hesitation. Its claws hovered inches from Lucifer's chest. Good boy, Lucifer whispered, taking a shaky step forward. His fangs peeked from his smirk, dripping crimson. You're strong, but dumb. With a sudden burst of speed, he slipped past the werewolf's arms, wrapped himself around the beast's back, and sank his fangs deep into its neck. Crunch! The werewolf howled in agony, but couldn't move. Its limbs locked in place by Lucifer's charm. Lucifer drank deep, viciously. The taste hit him like electricity. Wild, chaotic, powerful. But he didn't stop. He kept drinking, and drinking, and drinking. The werewolf thrashed weakly, body trembling. Then slowly, it started to shrink. Muscles deflated. Its howls died into whimpers. And finally, silence. Lucifer let the corpse fall. It hit the ground with a thud. Steam rose from his body as he stepped back, veins glowing faint red under his skin. His eyes burned crimson, mouth stained in fresh blood. Tastes like dog. He wiped his lips, still breathing heavy. His wounds had vanished. Blood consumption complete. Stats slightly increased. Lucifer looked at his hands, the power humming under his skin. He grinned, wide and wicked. Okay, that was kinda hot. Ding. First kill confirmed. You gained 35 EXP. Lucifer blinked as the message echoed in his head. Huh, only 35? I drank that bastard like a Capri Sun. He rolled his neck, blood still drying on his lips. Whatever. Gotta start somewhere. He turned, kicking the werewolf's drained body aside like trash. Got to get out of here before those guys arrive. I guess someone got to him first. Ella muttered, crouching by the pale, lifeless body. The werewolf was back in human form now. Skin drained, eyes wide open in terror. Mob knelt beside her, brushing hair off the corpse's neck. You might want to take a look at this. There was a bite mark. Deep, clean, right at the artery. Vampire, he said simply. Ella's brows pulled together. She stood and walked closer, squinting at the wound. That doesn't make sense. Vampires don't feed on supernaturals. It's like a rule. Mob stood too, wiping his hand on his jeans. Looks like someone broke the rule. First, we had a rogue werewolf. Now we've got a vampire who snacks on people like us. That's a problem. He looked around at the group. This one's bigger than us. We should leave it to the grown-ups. Remu stretched with a yawn, then grinned, eyes glinting with mischief. Finally, let's head back. I've got front row seats to a memory wipe. She turned, already excited. Ella just sighed. This night keeps getting weirder. King glanced one last time at the body before walking off with the others. Behind them, the forest swallowed the silence again. Elsewhere, back at the club, the bass thumped in the background, lights pulsing slow and lazy. Lucifer sank into a plush leather couch in the VIP corner, a blood-stained hoodie still clinging to his body. He exhaled, eyes glowing faint red as a soft ding echoed in his head. A translucent screen popped up before him, flickering like a hologram only he could see. He raised a brow. All right, let's see what I'm working with now. Name, Lucifer. Surname, unknown. Race, half-vampire, progenitor lineage, incomplete awakening. Level 1, EXP, 35 out of 100. Bloodline, progenitor bloodline, stage 1, assimilated with primordial lust demon bloodline. Title none. HP, 500 of 500. MP, 150 out of 150. Stamina, 220. Strength, 20. Agility, 23. Endurance, 19. Intelligence, 20. Charisma, 33. Luck, 11. Stats points, 3. Lucifer smirked. Not bad for a guy who was dead an hour ago. He leaned back, tapping the air like a touchscreen. Stats points, EXP bar. This system's kind of like a game, huh? The moment the status screen faded, another soft ding echoed in his head, followed by a cold, mechanical voice only Lucifer could hear. You can gain stat points by drinking blood and killing supernatural beings. Humans only give you experience, but supernaturals give you both. Quests, missions, and leveling up will also grant you stat points. As you grow, new system functions will unlock. Just keep leveling up. Lucifer blinked slowly, the glow of neon lights painting his skin red and blue. He stared into the empty glass in his hand before setting it down on the table. So, how the hell am I supposed to level up? He muttered. Fight, feed, survive, or take on a quest. As if on cue, another screen flickered to life in front of him, glowing faint purple. A new tab opened. Available quests. Hunt a rogue vampire. Difficulty, D. Reward, 50 EXP, /1 stat point / charm a human target. Difficulty, E. Reward, 10 EXP, /bonus charisma. Drink the blood of a supernatural being within 24 hours. Difficulty, C. Reward, 2 stat points / passive skill unlock. Lucifer leaned forward, a grin playing on his lips. His eyes, glowing faint crimson, locked onto the last quest. Looks like I've got options. He stood up, stretched his arms lazily, and glanced around the club full of bodies moving to the beat. His pupils thinned for a second. Just as Lucifer was about to make his next move, a ripple cut through the air behind him. A glowing portal swirled open and outstepped the group, this time with Angel in Ken's arms. Lucifer's eyes flicked over them. His gaze lingered on Angel for a moment before he turned away and started walking off. But before he could take more than 2 steps, a blur of motion appeared in front of him. Ella. She grinned, fangs showing as she leaned in close. Where do you think you're going, cute little puppy? Tonight's been wild. I'm not letting you leave without a little fun. Lucifer stared at her, unfazed. There was a time her fangs would have scared him or pissed him off. Not anymore. So we're done pretending? Huh, he said coolly. That's good. He looked past her, his eyes scanning each of them, pausing on Francisca, who stood quietly, head low. I already know Angel and Ken are werewolves. Ella's a vampire. Remy's a witch. That leaves you 2. He pointed at Mob and Francisca. So, what the hell are you? Mob stepped forward, adjusting his coat as a soft white glow shimmered in his eyes. Nephilim, he said simply. Only one of my kind still walking around. Then he gestured toward Francisca. And she's a kitsune. Lucifer raised a brow. Of course she is. Remu sighed and stepped forward. Well, now that story time's over, Ella, go ahead. Wipe his memory. It's not like he's keeping any of this. She motioned for Lucifer to sit, but before she could get close, the room's atmosphere shifted. The temperature dropped. A swirl of orange flames sparked around Francisca's body as her foxfire ignited. Her eyes flared with glowing amber. "No one's erasing anything," she said coldly. She turned to Ella, voice sharper now. "And I haven't forgotten the last time you messed with his mind. You'll answer to me for that." The room fell silent. Even Ella's grin faded. Lucifer looked between them all, confused but intrigued. "What the hell did I get dragged into? And who are you to tell me what to do?" Ella said, her tone sharp as she slowly stepped toward Francisca, a smirk playing on her lips. Mob just sighed and walked over to a nearby seat, slumping down next to where Lucifer stood. "Nope, I'm out. Not doing this drama tonight." Francisca took a step forward, the flames around her pulsing hotter. The mischievous glint that usually danced in her eyes was gone. In its place, cold fury. Her face was tense, and faint orange whisker marks had formed across her cheeks. "He's my best friend," she said, voice low and firm. "You had no right to mess with his mind. And I swear, if any of you call him puppy again..." Ella tilted her head, clearly unfazed. "What are you going to do, Foxy?" she said with a smirk. "Puppy. Oops, I just said it. And I'm still Stan." Crack. The sound echoed through the club like a thunderclap. Francisca moved like lightning. 1 second she was in front of Ella. The next, her fist had already connected with her face. Ella's body twisted midair from the sheer force of the punch, crashing into a nearby table and flipping it over. The room went dead silent. Lucifer blinked, stunned. Mob didn't even flinch, just took a sip from a soda he'd found on the table. Remu whistled low. "Well, damn." Francisca stood still, flames flickering off her body, eyes glowing. "No. More. Puppy. You bitch." Ella snapped, her voice laced with fury. She blurred in a burst of vampiric speed and slammed her fist straight into Francisca's stomach. Francisca gasped. Eyes wide as the force sent her skidding backward, crashing into the bar counter behind her. Bottles shattered, glass raining down like sharp confetti. But she didn't stay down. Her hand flared with foxfire, and in a blink, she was gone. Boom! Their fists collided midair, the shockwave blasting out and shaking the walls. Ella grinned as they clashed again, fangs bared, moving faster than the eye could follow. Each punch cracked the air, each kick sent chairs and tables flying. Lucifer stepped back, watching in stunned silence as flames and shadows danced across the room. Mob let out another sigh. Now the club's trashed. Great. Ella appeared behind Francisca and landed a roundhouse to her ribs, then a spin kick to the jaw. Francisca flew across the floor and rolled to a stop, but didn't get up immediately. Ella walked toward her slowly, blood dripping from her knuckles. "Had enough yet, fox girl?" Francisca smirked and vanished. "What the?" Suddenly, 5 Franciscas surrounded Ella. She turned sharply. Illusions? Cheap trick. She lunged forward and sliced through one. Poof. Gone in flames. Another. Gone. She struck a third. Wrong again. Too late. The real Francisca appeared behind her, glowing eyes locked in. "Found you." Boom. A knee to the back. Ella stumbled forward, then a flaming uppercut to the chin. She flew upward, crashing through the ceiling and landing hard on the floor above with a loud thud. Francisca jumped up after her and landed silently. No more games. Ella groaned, coughing up blood, trying to get up, only to realize her limbs wouldn't move right. Everything around her looked distorted. What did you do?" Francisca crouched beside her and whispered, "Illusions aren't just for tricks, they're for breaking the mind." The foxfire swirled, forming a glowing sigil under Ella's body. Her body jerked, then dropped flat. Out cold. Francisca stood up, flames fading, her breath steady. She looked down and muttered, "Mess with my friend again, and I'll make it permanent." Clap, clap, clap. Lucifer walked toward Francisca, slow and calm. He placed a hand gently on her shoulder. "You're strong," he said, voice low. No one would believe that the same mischievous, playful girl could turn into this. "But," he paused, "that doesn't mean I'm just going to forgive you for lying to me all these years." He dropped his hand and turned around, walking away. Francisca stood there, frozen. Her foxfire flickered out. "I'm sorry," she murmured, barely audible, eyes fixed on his back as he walked away. Remu clicked her tongue and walked over to where Ella was still down, lifting her up by the arm. So that's it. We just let him walk. He knows our secrets. You all remember the rules. No mundane should ever know about the supernatural. Francisca turned her head slowly. Her glowing eyes locked onto Remu. A sharp glare. Remu didn't flinch. She glared back just as cold. The room felt tense, like a thread about to snap. Then Mob stood up, brushing off his pants with a sigh. He stepped into the middle like he was done holding back. Enough. Everyone looked at him. Lucifer isn't just some mundane. He's been with us since we were kids. He's family. One of us. He looked at Ella and Remu specifically. And the fact that you've already been messing with his memories? That's low. That's messed up. He was going to find out eventually, but you two didn't even give him the chance. The air around Mob shimmered slightly, temperature dropping, his voice firm. And I know damn well neither of you would apologize for what you did. He took a step forward. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to let him go. You're not going to follow him. And you sure as hell aren't going to mess with his mind ever again. He pointed at them both. Because if you try it again, it won't just be Francisca you'll have to deal with. His eyes narrowed. It'll be me too. The room went dead silent. Even the flickering club lights seemed to pause. Ella, still dazed and bloodied, looked away. Remu clicked her tongue and muttered, "TCH, whatever." Mob sighed and leaned back against a broken table. Tonight's already a mess. Don't make it worse. Elsewhere, get rid of the body and find out exactly what the hell happened here. The girl barking orders couldn't be older than 20, yet the way she spoke made even grown men straighten up. Her short coat fluttered in the wind, the symbol of the Fowler family stitched in red at the back. Daroff Fowler, a direct descendant of the legendary Hunter clan, the same family that created the Hunters Association, the ones keeping the supernatural world in check. She looked around at the scene with disgust in her eyes. Blood, ash, and silence. Then her glare landed on the team leader kneeling before her, his head down. A rogue werewolf. Just one, she said, voice cold. And you still managed to screw it up. She stepped closer, boots crunching glass on the pavement. Not only did it kill civilians, it wandered freely, then got taken out by something else before you could even capture it. She paused. Her eyes narrowed. And now that thing, whatever it was, is gone. No witnesses. No traces. Just a mangled corpse that screams vampire kill. The team leader clenched his fists. Dara tilted her head slightly. And guess what? We don't even know which clan it came from, what rank the vampire was, or why it interfered in the first place. She looked back at the blood-soaked site, then back at the hunter. All we have is a mess, and your incompetence to thank for it. Her words hit like a slap. She turned around, coat whipping with the wind. Clean it up, and this time, do your job right. The black-clothed hunters scrambled into motion. Dara didn't even look back. The morning sun barely warmed the cold silence between them. Lucifer and Francisco walked side by side down the clean pavement, heading toward the sleek black limo waiting at the curb. "Hey," Francisca said softly, her voice barely above a whisper, trying to break the ice. Lucifer didn't even look her way. Hands in his pockets, eyes straight ahead, like she wasn't even there. Francisca bit down on her lip, the sting of guilt tightening in her chest. She didn't say anything else. How could she? She was at fault. She had hidden everything from him from the very start. The one person she called her best friend, and yet she kept a whole other life from him. Her true self, Kitsune blood and all. And now, he probably thought he was never anything more than a pet. Some dumb, loyal companion meant to keep her entertained. A puppy. That word had always stung, but now it cut deeper than ever. Of course he'd think she never saw him as a real friend. Of course he'd think she was just another lying fox. That's what they do, right? Tricksters. Deceivers. But he was never just that to her. Never just a distraction. He was her anchor, her only genuine connection in a world filled with lies, magic, and masks. She wanted to tell him that. She wanted to scream it. But all she could do was walk beside him in silence as the limo door opened with a soft click. And hope, just hope, that it wasn't already too late. Lucifer stared up at the morning sun as they sat down, frowning a little. Why doesn't it burn? He thought. Just then, the system chimed in his head. That's because the host is currently a half-blood vampire. While this allows the host to walk in sunlight without harm, it also means the host lacks the full strength and abilities of a true vampire. To unlock the full potential, the host must evolve into a pure-blood vampire, one worthy of a knight. Lucifer blinked and gave a small nod. Figures. Then something else crossed his mind. He slowed down and glanced at Francisca. "Hey," he said, keeping his voice casual. "Can Kitsune read minds?" Francisca stopped and looked at him fast. "Yeah, we can," she said quickly, "but I'm not strong enough yet. I'm only a two-tailed Kitsune." Lucifer nodded slowly, like he was just confirming a suspicion. "Right." He turned back around, hands in his pockets again. Francisca watched him, try to read his expression. But like always, he kept it all behind those unreadable eyes. Lucifer kept his pace steady as the limo rolled up in front of them. He spoke silently in his mind. "What exactly are the benefits of becoming a full-blooded vampire? And since I'm a progenitor, shouldn't I be able to walk in the sun without any problem?" The system answered almost instantly, its voice echoing in his head like a calm AI from some sci-fi anime. "Good question. As a progenitor vampire, you do possess the potential to overcome typical vampire weaknesses. However, that potential is currently locked behind your half-blood state. Becoming a full-blooded vampire will enhance your speed, strength, senses, and regeneration to levels far beyond the average. You'll also gain access to exclusive progenitor abilities like Blood Command, Shadow Dominion, and Lineage Awakening. And yes, as a full progenitor, the sun won't even make you blink." Lucifer's lips curled slightly into a smirk. "Blood Command, huh? Sounds cool." He opened the limo door, but paused for a second, turning his head just a bit. Francisca, who had been quiet the whole time, looked like she wanted to say something, but couldn't find the words. Lucifer didn't say anything either. He just got in and leaned back, eyes on the tinted window, as the door shut with a soft click. "One step at a time, but I'll figure out what I am now, with or without them." The ride to college was quiet. Francisca stared out her window, fingers nervously playing with a charm bracelet on her wrist. Lucifer leaned back against the leather seat, earbuds in, but not playing anything, just a way to avoid talking. The limo rolled through the city streets, the morning light casting soft gold over the skyline. The occasional honk, the buzz of scooters zipping past, and the rhythm of life outside felt almost too normal, too calm. After about 20 minutes, the limo turned down a long stretch of road lined with trees. The view opened up to reveal Crescent Hill College, a large, proud-looking campus tucked away on the edge of the city. The gates were tall and black, with iron patterns curling around the crest of the school. Two owls perched on a crescent moon. The limo pulled up to the front drive, where students were already milling around. Uniforms weren't a thing here, just hoodies, backpacks, sneakers, and messy hair. Some kids chatted in groups, some rushed in with coffee in hand, and others just loitered under the trees like background characters waiting to be animated. Francisca glanced at the building with a half-smile. "Still feels weird coming here after everything." Lucifer stepped out and looked up at the main building. Wide marble stairs led to tall glass doors, and just above them was an old plaque etched in faded gold. Crescent Hill College, founded 1896, a place for minds to grow. No one knew why the school was built so far from the center of the city. Some said it used to be a hospital. Others whispered it was once owned by some creepy aristocrat. But whatever the truth was, it had turned into one of the top colleges in the region. Lucifer slung his bag over his shoulder, eyes scanning the crowd. "It's too peaceful," he muttered. Francisca gave a short laugh. "It's a normal school, Lucifer. That's the point." "Yeah," he said, eyes narrowing a little. "Too normal." A soft breeze blew through, rustling the trees above and brushing past them like a whisper. Just then, the bell rang. Students started rushing toward the doors. Francisca adjusted her bag and walked ahead, a bit more relaxed now. Lucifer stood for a moment longer, taking one last glance at the college gates, then followed behind her. Whatever this place was, it was the calm before something. And deep down, they both felt it. "Look who finally made it," A familiar voice called out. Mob strolled toward them, arms wide, that goofy grin of his stretching from ear to ear. My sweet cousin and her broody best pal. Francisca let out a small laugh as he pulled her into a warm hug. Lucifer just stared at the extended hand Mob offered him. After a moment, he shook it. No emotion, no words, and kept walking. Mob scratched the back of his head, watching him go. Still salty, huh? Francisca sighed. Yeah, if this drags on too long, I swear. I'll kill Ella and ream you myself. A faint wisp of orange flame flickered from her palm. Mob's eyes widened slightly. Yo, hey, relax. We're in public, remember? The foxfire sizzled out. I get it. What they did was messed up, Mob said, lowering his voice. But if you actually go through with it, you'll start a clan war. And you know how nasty those get. He paused, glancing in Lucifer's direction. You might end up putting his life on the line, too. Francisca's breath hitched. She looked at Mob, and for a second, her usual confident expression cracked. Thanks, she said softly, the corner of her lips twitching into a small smile. A faint blush touched her cheeks, but it faded just as fast. Mob chuckled. Anytime. He slung his arm over her shoulder and started walking with her toward the entrance. Now, as much as I know you'd rather get set on fire yourself, the others are inside already, he said with a teasing grin. We better go. Orientation's about to start. Francisca groaned, but followed. And up ahead, Lucifer kept walking without looking back, his shadow trailing behind them like a ghost. The day had only just begun, but the tension was already thick enough to cut with a knife. Lucifer walked past the entrance to the orientation hall, barely glancing at the crowd piling inside. His mind was elsewhere, buzzing with the recent bomb the system had dropped on him. Revelation. You were never human. You are an incubus of noble rank, consumed and reborn through the progenitor vampire lineage. He exhaled, running a hand through his hair. A lust demon, he muttered, smirking a little. Figures. It explained the charm, the unnatural magnetism, the way people just listened. But if the vampire bloodline had devoured that part of him, just how strong was it? The progenitor's blood wasn't ordinary. It ate his original race. And now, he needed answers about who he really was and just how deep his power could go. But before all that, he needed strength. Lucifer swiped his hand through the air, and a translucent screen appeared in front of him. Available quests. Hunt a rogue vampire. Difficulty D. Reward 50 EXP /1 stat point / charm a human target. Difficulty E. Reward 10 EXP / bonus charisma. Drink the blood of a supernatural being within 24 hours. Difficulty C. Reward 2 stat points / passive skill unlock. HM. Let's go easy first. He tapped the second option. Quest accepted. Charm a human target. A faint shimmer passed over his eyes, and suddenly the world seemed a little slower, a little warmer, like he was looking at everything through rose-tinted glass. He turned around just as a student passed by, nose buried in his phone. Wavy dark hair, designer jacket, the kind of guy who screamed, I have money, but don't care about anything. Lucifer stepped in front of him smoothly. Hey, the guy blinked. Oh yeah. Lucifer's eyes locked onto his. There was a pulse like velvet sliding over skin. Come with me. The student didn't question it. He just nodded like it made perfect sense. Lucifer led him into a quiet, empty music room and closed the door behind them. Sit. The guy obeyed without hesitation, blinking slowly as if in a trance. Lucifer leaned against the edge of the piano, arms crossed. Your name? Zane. Zane Connor. Lucifer tilted his head slightly. You rich, Zane? Yeah. My dad owns a media company. Mom's in politics. They send me money every week. Good, Lucifer said, voice smooth as silk. Now tell me about yourself. Zane nodded, eyes glazed. I grew up in the south part of the city. Private schools. Top scores. But I don't really care about academics. I'm just here to make connections. And party. Lucifer chuckled lightly. Honest. I like that. Quest complete. Charm a human target. Plus 10 EXP. New passive skill unlocked. Velvet Voice. Your voice now carries an unnatural allure, increasing the success rate of persuasion, seduction, and deception against weaker minds. Lucifer felt the shift immediately. His voice, already magnetic, now carried a layered softness. Every word hit like a low note in a love song. He crouched in front of Zane. I want you to do something for me. Zane nodded slowly. You're going to be my ears on campus. Watch everything. Listen to conversations. Keep tabs on a few people for me. Ooh, I'll tell you their names later. For now, just observe. Don't ask questions. Don't get caught. Zane's eyes locked on his. Yes, I can do that. Lucifer patted his shoulder, standing back up. Good. You won't remember this conversation. You'll just feel really compelled to be helpful. Got it. Zane blinked once. Got it. Lucifer opened the door and gestured. You can go. Zane walked out calmly like nothing happened. Lucifer smirked. This is going to be fun. Lucifer stepped out of the classroom, blending into the sea of students heading toward the orientation hall. He walked with his usual nonchalance, unaware of the silent ripple his presence caused. But just as the door closed behind him, a faint shimmer of light flickered in the corner of the room. In an instant, the air seemed to warp, twisting, and from within it a figure appeared. A young girl, blonde hair like sun-kissed strands of gold, her skin pale and flawless. She stood there for a moment, her eyes scanning the spot where Lucifer had just been. Interesting, she murmured, her voice soft yet sharp like the edge of a blade. A vampire here in college? This is going to get interesting. Her gaze lingered on the space, an amused smirk curling at the corners of her lips. She stood tall, an air of elegance and mystery about her. Every movement she made seemed calculated, like a chess player carefully considering her next move. On my first day, and I meet a vampire. She chuckled lightly, a quiet thrill dancing in her eyes. With a swish of her long skirt, she turned on her heel, walking toward the hallway where the orientation was taking place. But what she didn't know, what she had yet to realize, was that the vampire she had just noticed was no ordinary one. Lucifer wasn't just another creature of the night, and if she wasn't careful, she might be playing with fire. The massive hall buzzed with life, students chatting, some yawning, others scrolling through their phones as they waited for the orientation to begin. Lucifer walked in with his hands in his pockets, eyes half-lidded, his usual cool aura trailing behind him. He scanned the crowd lazily and found Francisca sitting a few rows ahead, chatting quietly with Mob and a few others. His gaze moved again, this time stopping at a familiar face. Ella. She was laughing at something Remu said, her head tilted, hair catching the light just right. Lucifer's eyes narrowed slightly, a smirk forming on his lips. She's exquisite, he murmured. Just then, a soft voice slid into his ear, warm and teasing. If you're going to stare at her all day without making a move, you'll never get her. Lucifer blinked and turned. A blonde girl had casually dropped into the seat next to him, smiling like they were old friends. He frowned. And who are you? She winked. Think of me as a Cupid, or maybe a love goddess rooting for two lovebirds. Lucifer's expression flattened. If you're not going to be serious, get out of my hair. I've got enough going on, and I don't have any feelings for her. I only want to kill her. The girl's smile didn't fade. She just leaned back in her seat, arms crossed like she was getting comfy. Oof, dark. But hey, that's fine. You're not the fun type. I get it. She tilted her head. Still, I think I'm going to stick with you. Lucifer sighed and looked ahead. Great. I'm Timmy, by the way. Tim's for short. Okay. Lucifer muttered, already regretting sitting near her. Suddenly, the lights dimmed a little, and a spotlight hit the stage. The loud chatter died down as a woman in a sharp pantsuit stepped up to the podium, tapping the mic. Good morning, freshers, she said with a calm smile. Welcome to Crescent Hill College, where we prepare the minds that shape tomorrow. Lucifer slouched in his seat, half listening, while Thames rested her chin on her palm, clearly not interested either. Each of you has a story. You've come from different places, backgrounds, and dreams. Here, you'll find challenges, friendships, maybe even love, The woman smiled knowingly at the crowd, earning a few chuckles, but above all growth. Tim smirked and elbowed Lucifer. Did you hear that? Love. See? Destiny agrees with me. Lucifer rolled his eyes. I swear, if you don't stop talking. Thames just laughed. As the orientation continued, Lucifer's eyes darted around the room, every word from the stage fading into background noise. Ella, Remu, Mob, Francisca, and now Thames. Lucifer leaned back in his seat, arms crossed, eyes sharp and focused like a predator stalking prey. His lips barely moved. Ella, 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 Ella. He whispered in a low voice, barely audible to anyone, but just enough for the right ears. I know you can hear me. Look behind you. Across the hall, Ella's smile faltered as she paused mid-conversation with Remu. The fuck? She muttered, turning her head slightly. Her eyes scanned the room. Remu blinked. What's wrong? Someone's whispering my name. Over and over. Like they know I can hear them. It's pissing me off. Remu raised an eyebrow. I mean, I don't have super hearing like you do. You should probably ask the others to help find whoever's messing with you. Just as Ella turned to call Francisca, Kin, or Angel, the voice came again, more direct this time. If I were you, I wouldn't take that advice. You're so dumb. I told you to look behind you, yet you still couldn't spot me. TSK, I don't have time to play mysterious. There was a short pause. When orientation's over, meet me at the rooftop of this building. I'll be waiting. Ella's jaw clenched. Her eyes narrowed as she whispered under her breath, Fine. So be it. I hope you're ready to get your ass handed to you. No reply. The voice was gone. She turned again, scanning every face behind her. Nothing. Just regular students chatting, laughing, or half asleep while the lady on stage went on with her speech. Back where Lucifer sat, his eyes were cool, expression unreadable. He didn't even blink. Temmie watched him with curiosity. Damn, you really acted like nothing happened. She smiled. And I still don't know your name. Lucifer finally spoke without looking at her. Lucifer. Just Lucifer. Temmie chuckled softly. Mysterious till the end. I like that. The lights brightened slightly as the orientation speaker gave her final words. Remember, your time here will shape the rest of your lives. Explore, connect, and most importantly, discover who you really are. Welcome to Emberidge. Polite claps followed. Some students stretched, others started getting up. The crowd began to move. Ella stood up and gathered her things. She glanced at the rooftop through the nearby window, a slight scowl on her face. I've got something to handle, she said casually. Francisca turned to her. Something like what? Someone's been messing with me since the orientation started. I'm going to find out who it is. You sure you don't want backup? Ken asked, already cracking his knuckles. Nope. Ella gave a small smile. If it turns out to be a joke, I'll just scare them. If not, then I'll really scare them. Remu shook her head. Try not to break anything. No promises. Ella turned and walked off, her long ponytail swaying behind her. She didn't even look back. The others just watched, curious but not worried. If anyone could handle herself, it was Ella. On the rooftop, the wind rolled gently across the rooftop, carrying with it the fading warmth of the sun. Lucifer stood near the edge, eyes on the sky as he waits for Ella. His mind wandered for a second. He hadn't planned to confront Ella today. He wanted to lay low, figure things out slowly. But after the little boost from his last reward, his charm stat had ticked up. Not by much, but enough for him to feel it. Confidence, control, power. And now, he wanted payback. Payback for all the years she looked down on him like trash. For the beatdowns. The humiliation. He smirked. The door behind him creaked open. He didn't need to turn around to know who it was. I see you made it, Lucifer said, slowly turning his head with a lazy grin. Thought you'd be a pussy and run. Lucifer. Lucifer. Her voice was low, tense. Lucifer stepped forward slowly, hands still in his pockets, that same cocky smirk tugging at his lips. Yeah, the one and only. His red eyes gleaming. And I'm here for retribution. The air shifted. Heavy. Oppressive. Ella's breath hitched as a wave of pressure slammed into her chest, like the gravity around Lucifer had just spiked. Her instincts screamed danger. For a moment, her knees wobbled. It felt like she was standing before someone ancient, someone that wasn't supposed to be touched, let alone disrespected. Like her body remembered something her mind didn't. But even then, she didn't step back. Her fists clenched, her gaze locked onto his. There was fire in her eyes. Defiance. "I don't care what kind of aura you're trying to flex," she said through gritted teeth. "I'm not scared of you." Lucifer chuckled, eyes narrowing in amusement. "Good," he said, his voice smooth like velvet. "Because fear would have ruined the fun." Lucifer's grin widened as he saw the defiance in her eyes. She stood her ground, but he could always tell when she was on the verge of breaking. Her body was betraying her. There was a crack in her armor, a tremble that he could taste in the air. He took another step closer, the distance between them closing until his body nearly brushed against hers. His hand came up, brushing the hair from her face, letting his fingers linger on her skin. "Do you think I'm afraid of you?" she snapped, her chin tilted, but her voice trembled. Lucifer's smirk deepened, but there was something else in his eyes now. Something darker, predatory. "You should be," he murmured, his voice low and teasing. "After all, you've always looked down on me. All these years, thinking you were better, above me, that I was just your toy, your plaything." She stiffened, and her eyes narrowed. "That's not." "Shut up," he hissed, gripping her jaw with enough force to make her gasp. His touch was just a little too tight, a little too commanding, but it was the flicker of something more that coursed through him. A flash of power surged from him, unnoticed by both of them. He had never used it before, had never understood its depth, but the moment his skin made contact with her, the invisible tendrils of touch of temptation snaked through the air and latched onto her. The change was instant. Her breath hitched, her body jolting ever so slightly under his hand. The air around her thickened, pressing against her chest like an invisible weight. She blinked, and for a second, it felt as if the world slowed. Her body betrayed her again, her pulse quickened, her chest rising and falling faster. Lucifer didn't notice right away. He was too lost in the moment, too focused on the fire he was lighting inside her. But when he saw her eyes widen, her lips parting in surprise, he stopped mid-thought. Something was wrong. Something had shifted. "What the hell?" he muttered, his eyes narrowing, finally registering the change in the air. He could feel it now, her body responding to him, trembling, her skin flushed. His voice softened, the amusement never quite leaving his lips. "You feel that, don't you?" he asked, his tone dark, predatory. She swallowed hard, but her eyes flickered with hesitation. She tried to take a step back, but Lucifer's grip on her chin tightened, his thumb brushing against her lips. "You've always looked down on me," he continued, a sneer curling his lips. "You thought you were better. I was just some worthless thing beneath your heels." He leaned closer, his lips brushing her ear. "Well, now you'll feel what it's like. Now you'll understand how it feels to be looked down on." His words were a bitter truth, one that cut deeper than any physical blow ever could. He could feel her body responding involuntarily, the heat in her pulse, the way she couldn't stop the soft tremors shaking through her. "You're weak," he whispered, watching her reactions closely. "You can't even control yourself. Your body knows who's in charge now." Before she could respond, before she could even formulate another protest, his fingers trailed down her neck, his touch soft, languid, as if testing the effect his power was having on her. And that's when it hit her, touch of temptation. The effect was so subtle at first that she might have dismissed it, but her breath hitched again, this time uncontrollably. It was like his touch was pulling something out of her, some dark, desperate need. Lucifer's eyes gleamed, watching her struggle. She was caught in the haze of his power, unable to escape the heat it poured into her. He chuckled darkly, savoring the moment. "You wanted this. You always have." Her lips parted, a strangled gasp escaping. She tried to pull away, but Lucifer's grip was unyielding. He didn't need to hold her tightly. His influence was enough. "No more pretending," he murmured, his voice soft but dangerous. "No more games. All these years you've looked down on me. You'll pay for it." Her body betrayed her once more, her chest rising and falling in rapid succession. He could feel her pulse quicken beneath his touch. Lucifer's eyes sparkled with cold satisfaction. Now, I'll show you how it feels to be used. To be nothing more than an object of desire, powerless under my control. He pushed her to her knees. Hands behind your back. She obeyed without hesitation, eyes wide, chest heaving. Chin up. She raised it. He unbuckled his belt, cock springing free, thick, heavy, glistening with pre-cum. Open your mouth. She did. He slid in her mouth inch by inch, hissing through his teeth as her lips stretched around him. Her eyes rolled back, heat flooding her again, deeper, more invasive this time. Like her tongue was directly wired to her cunt. Lucifer smirked. Sensitive, aren't you? Just from sucking cock. She moaned around him, and her knees buckled slightly. He snapped his hips, choking her on it. Choke on it if you love me. Tears pricked her lashes. She gagged, and her pussy clenched hard enough she almost came. He pulled out. You're dripping on the rooftop tiles. That's fucking pathetic. He yanked her to her feet, then spun her, bent her over the rooftop chair, and slammed inside her in one brutal thrust. She screamed. It was too much. Too deep. Too hot. Her body convulsed with every drag of his cock. Lucifer grabbed her throat from behind, pinning her in place as he ruined her from the inside out. Look at you, he growled, already falling apart. Please, Lucifer, I can't. Yes, you can. His pace brutalized her. Hold it, he snapped. She tried, failed, and shattered, her first orgasm ripping through her, thighs shaking, body quaking. He didn't stop, and he didn't forgive her for coming without permission. Lucifer pulled out, flipped her onto her back. She barely registered the sky above her before he snapped his fingers. New ability unlocked. Temptation chain active. Glowing restraints appeared midair. Chains of pulsing pink and violet energy. They wrapped around her wrists, her ankles, her thighs, her nipples, her clit. Every sensitive spot. Every nerve ending. Lucifer, she gasped. Shoo. He slid back inside her. The chains activated, and she screamed. Each thrust lit up her body like electricity. The magical restraints pulsed against her clit, her nipples, her overstimmed pussy. Pleasure became torment. Tears streamed down her face. She couldn't breathe, couldn't think. All she could do was feel. Sir, please, You wanted this. He grabbed her face, kissed her savagely. You wanted me to ruin you. Now, take it. Her back arched off the lounge as another orgasm detonated in her core. Then another, and another. The chains didn't stop. Lucifer didn't stop. She screamed his name, sobbed it, begged until she was hoarse. Her mind cracked open, and she came again. Lucifer leaned down, lips brushing her ear. Who do you belong to? You, sir, please. Say it louder. You. I'm yours. I'm yours. His cock throbbed, and he bit down in her throat as he came inside her, hard and deep, branding her with his pleasure. The chain shattered. She collapsed, wrecked, empty, ruined. But Lucifer still wasn't done. He cupped her cheek, his thumb wiping a tear from her eye. Then he kissed her forehead. On your knees. I can't. You will. She did. Bare knees on cold concrete. Lips parted. Mouth open like a prayer. He slid his cock into her again, into her throat, and fucked her face as she whimpered and took it. Her mascara ran. Her dignity bled. Her thighs still shook. And still she obeyed. When he finally pulled her up again, she was limp in his arms. Soft. Docile. He cradled her against his chest like something precious. Something owned. You did so well, my sweet little leech. He laid her down on warm cushions, wrapping a throw around her bare shoulders. You'll sleep now. His fingers brushed between her thighs again. But when you wake up, he whispered, licking into her ear, we start again. Morning was merciless. Sunlight bathed the rooftop in warmth, a stark contrast to the depravity happening on its marble floor. The city below buzzed, unaware, as if Ella's whimpers didn't echo into the sky, as if her shame wasn't being painted across the heavens. She knelt, again, not because she wanted to, because he said so. Lucifer stood before her, legs spread, cock glistening with her and him and everything they'd done all night. Her thighs were still sticky. her cunt still open, leaking, her cheeks stained with dried tears and spit. She was a mess. His mess. "Look at you," he murmured, stroking himself lazily. Ruined before breakfast. She couldn't meet his eyes, so he grabbed her chin, forced her to look. "You were a dignified little vampire once, weren't you?" She nodded, trembling. "And now look at you, kneeling in your own filth, covered in my cum." Her eyes fluttered shut. "No," he snapped. "Open them." She obeyed instantly. "That's it. Let me see that shame. Let me watch what's left of your pride die." He spat, this time in her open mouth. "Swallow." She did, without hesitation. Her eyes welled. But he smiled. "You like this, don't you? Being degraded, being broken down." She whimpered. He knelt in front of her, pressed his forehead to hers. His voice dropped. "You were powerful once, weren't you? You could have snapped a man in half." "I still could," she whispered. Lucifer laughed, then slapped her. Not hard, just enough. Enough to make her gasp. Enough to make her wet. "Try," he said, voice pure filth. "Try fighting me. Try clawing your way back to dignity." She didn't move. Didn't dare. "Exactly," he said. "Because you don't want to be free. You want to be owned." She nodded. "Say it. I want to be owned. Say it like a whore. I'm your filthy little whore. I want to be owned. Used. Ruined." He moaned. "You're so easy to break." He stood again. "On your back." She obeyed, lying down on the rooftop tile, her hair splayed out around her, her body on display. Lucifer towered above her, cock in hand. "Spread your legs." She did. "She's already open," he muttered. "You'll never close again, will you?" Then he pissed. Warm, golden, on her thighs, her stomach, her cunt. She gasped, not from disgust, from heat, from humiliation. He was marking her, and she let him. She was trembling, dripping, even more now, cunt fluttering with sick anticipation. "You're disgusting," he growled. "You love it." She nodded, panting. "I do. I'm filthy. I'm yours. Touch yourself." She did. One hand on her clit, 2 fingers in her dripping cunt. Moaning. Eyes rolled back. "Good girl," he said. "Show me how dirty you really are." He knelt beside her, cock hard, veins throbbing. Watched her fuck herself in her own shame. Watched her beg. "Please, please, sir, use me again." "You're not done until I say," he snapped. "Now open your mouth." She did. He shoved his cock past her lips. "Choke on it." She gagged but kept going. Took him deep. Let him fuck her mouth until spit was dripping down her chin, mixing with tears and piss and sweat. She was a picture of obedient depravity. And when he finally pulled out, he didn't give her a second to breathe. He flipped her onto all fours, grabbed her hair, and rammed in her cunt with no warning. She screamed. Her hands slipped on the piss-wet floor. Her knees burned. Her brain emptied. All that remained was cock. Fucking. Filthy. Unrelenting. "You're nothing," he grunted. "Nothing but a hole for me to fill." I am, sir. I'm your hole, your slut." "That's right. Keep saying it. I'm your slut, your toy. Use me. Use me until I break." He did, and she did. She came. Violently. Repeatedly. Convulsing around him. Body slick with everything he gave her. Her voice cracked. Her cunt spasmed. Lucifer reached around and slapped her clit. She shrieked. "I want you sobbing." I already am." Louder. He reached for her neck, pulled her up, and whispered. "Beg for it. Please, sir. Please ruin me again, please." Again. He pulled out. She cried. Then he pushed into her ass. No, fuck. But she took it. She always took it. Her eyes rolled back. Her mouth hung open. She drooled, moaned, broke. Lucifer growled, cock buried to the hilt. Her body collapsed. But he held her up. Fucked her like she didn't deserve rest. Because she didn't. Not yet. Not until he emptied himself again. And he did. Deep. Hard. Huh. Inside her. She collapsed. Face first. Barely breathing. Lucifer knelt beside her. Brushed the hair from her sticky, ruined face. Then smiled. "You're so much prettier when you're humiliated and broken." He kissed her cheek. And whispered. "Sleep now, my leech. You'll need it for tonight." Lucifer leaned against the railing of the rooftop, shirt half-buttoned, the night breeze brushing against his skin. He let out a slow breath, lips curled in a smug smile as he opened his system tab. A soft ding echoed in his mind. Quest complete. Dominate and conquer Ella. Reward. Plus 500 EXP. Plus 2 charm stat. New passive skill unlocked. Velvet Presence. Bonus reward. Unique trait. Bound Flame. Triggers when desire and power align. Lucifer raised a brow, clearly pleased. Tisich, so that's all it took, he muttered, rubbing the back of his neck lazily. Didn't even break a sweat. Another soft ding came in. New quest unlocked. Quest name. Mark her as yours. Objective. Place your mark on Ella to claim her as your bound. Reward. Plus 1 Bloodline Evolution point / unlock skill. Crimson Claim. Time limit. 18 hours. Lucifer's smile widened. So, the system wants me to put a tag on her now? Damn, I kinda like the sound of that. The moon had long since hidden behind a veil of clouds, as if the heavens themselves turned away in disgust or reverence. The rooftop altar pulsed beneath them, carved in ancient languages too old for angels to remember. Wind hissed like a warning, thick with the stench of sweat, blood, and sin. Lucifer hadn't moved from where he knelt beside her limp body, hands stained with her ruin. His hunger, however, had grown darker. Hungrier, not just for her flesh, but for her soul. Ella trembled, barely conscious. Her body was a map of bruises and glowing runes. Lips bruised, thighs trembling, cunt aching and red from the endless torment he'd poured into her. And yet, he wasn't done. Not even close. Open your eyes, little leech. His voice was velvet-wrapped cruelty. She whimpered. I said open. A sharp slap cracked against her cheek, not to punish but to humiliate. Her eyelids fluttered open, lashes wet with tears. Her gaze was distant, broken. There she is, he purred. My pretty little disgrace. He rose to his feet, towering over her collapsed form. The enchanted sigils beneath them responded to his movement, blooming with color. Sickly purple, cursed gold, deep abyssal red. Runes crawled along her legs like vipers, searing into her skin with every orgasm she had surrendered to him. Around them, the rooftop bloomed into a cathedral of torment. Mirrored portals hovered midair, each one showing a different angle of her shame. Her face slack with pleasure while she was split on his cock, her own voice pleading for more as tendrils made her gush again and again. Another showed her begging him to stop, even as she moaned his name like it was divine. No, she croaked, eyes darting between reflections. Yes, he whispered, stepping behind her. Look at yourself. The mirrors hissed with cruel delight. One whispered, you used to hunt mortals. Now look at you, kneeling, dripping, ruined. Another sneered, you're not a vampire. You're a vessel, a fuck toy for something greater. You're nothing but a cum dump. Lucifer grabbed her hair and wrenched her up on her knees, pushing her toward the glowing circle. I'm going to make you scream, he said, voice like silk dragged across blades. Not from pain, but from recognition. From knowing exactly what you've become. Then the ooze came, black, glistening alive. It slithered from the cracks of the rooftop like a summoned god, wrapping around her ankles, thighs, arms. It moved like it had purpose. Worship. Obsession. It knew her body. It knew where she was weakest. It slid inside her with ease. She moaned and hated it. She moaned and loved it. The ooze curled around her nipples, sucking and tugging as more tendrils teased her clit, her ass, her open cunt. Another crept along her spine, cold and wet and intimate. Her back arched. Her fangs pierced her own lip. Lucifer walked around her slowly, like a high priest preparing a sacrifice, or a king admiring his favorite pet. You didn't need chains, he said. You were mine the moment your cunt throbbed when I said your name. The ooze pulsed inside her. She shuddered, her orgasm tearing through her like a curse. Her body convulsed. The runes burned brighter. A glowing sigil ignited across her collarbone. Lucifer's symbol, etched in infernal language. Now, every time she said please, her body would betray her. Her pussy would tighten. Her nipples would sting. Her clit would throb until it hurt. Say it, he ordered. Say what you are. She gasped, drool trailing from her lips. I'm your filthy little leech, you're cum drunk. Wrong, he snarled. Say it right. I'm a mirror whore, she sobbed. I'm your branded pet. I'm your cum dump. I like it. I like when they laugh at me. I like when they watch. I like when you break me. Good girl. The mirrors applauded. A tendril slithered into her mouth, feeding her a cocktail of her own slick and Lucifer's cum. She gagged, then swallowed. Lucifer walked to her, grabbed her face, and spat directly into her mouth. Then he kissed her like she was holy, like she was the altar. And then he cut his lip, not with magic, with a fawn, and pressed it to hers. Blood dripped into her mouth. Copper, molten divine. Her eyes rolled back as power surged down her throat. Then he bit her neck, right above the collarbone. His fangs pierced deep. She screamed. Her blood filled his mouth. The moment was raw, sacred. Her blood was thick with lust, magic, and need. He drank deeply, then pulled away, lips red, teeth gleaming. Mine, he growled. By blood, by filth, by fate. He bit his wrist next. Let his blood run into her mouth. Drink. She did, without hesitation. Her throat moved greedily. Their bond sealed in the oldest language, blood and ruin. Across her womb, a dark sigil burned, a mark of ownership, a claim that would never fade. You are my personal slut, Lucifer whispered, kissing the mark. Not a toy for others, not a whore for others, but mine, the one I desecrate, the one I'll ruin again and again. He bent her over the rooftop altar. This time, no magic, no runes, just his cock. He slammed into her, brutal and deep. Her scream echoed off every mirror, every corner of the sky. No spells, he hissed in her ear. Just me, just my cock rewriting every thought you have. I can't. You can. You will. He rutted into her like an animal, like a god. Her body folded beneath each thrust, her mind cracking wider. Please, please, please. The rune activated. Her pussy clenched. Her clit throbbed violently. Her nipples ached with every bounce. Again. Please, please. She came. Then again. Then again. By the time he painted her insides with another load of cursed cum, she was drooling, twitching, gone. The mirrors whispered, "You'll never be clean again. You don't want to be." Lucifer pulled her limp form into his arms, blood still on his lips, cum still leaking from her. He cradled her like something precious and whispered against her ear, "You're not broken, Ella. You're perfectly desecrated, and you'll never be alone again." College gates, late morning. The moment Ella stepped through the gates, her presence drew every eye. Her hair was a bit messy, her eyes darker than usual, and her steps slower than her usual confident stride. "Ella!" Remu rushed to her. "Where the hell have you been these past few days?" Ella paused, clenched her fists, and took a deep breath. "Got caught in a trap," she muttered. "Managed to get out, thanks to Lucifer." Her voice dipped into frustration at the end. Her teeth clenched like she was forcing the words out. Deep down, something in her chest twisted, something she didn't want to admit. Francisca didn't take that well. Lucifer? Where is he? If anything happened to him, I swear I'll... Relax. Ella cut her off, waving her hand. Nothing happened. Not like that. It wasn't me. A rogue vampire used him as bait to lure me in. Didn't say a word about having Lucifer cause he knew I wouldn't come running otherwise. He played it smart, and I fell for it. Francisca breathed out slowly, her shoulders dropping. Ella kept her voice low. Lucifer's different now. He's one of us. A vampire. He can't step into the sun anymore. Not without a daylight spell. Everyone's eyes turned to Remu. She blinked. Nope. Don't even look at me like that. Remu. Nope, she said, already turning to walk off. I'm not casting anything for that guy. If he wants to sunbathe, he can roast like a sausage. Francisca moved to go after her, but Mob grabbed her arm gently. Don't. Not here, he said with a firm tone. This is still a school. We can't afford drama in front of the humans. Francisca bit her lip but nodded. I'll talk to her, Mob added, already walking off. You should go see Lucifer. He needs someone right now. Francisca stood frozen for a moment, then turned to Ella with narrowed eyes. Where is Lucifer right now? She asked quietly. Ella let out a long sigh. clearly irritated. Seriously? I'm weak, starving, just got out of a trap, and all you care about is him? Her tone was sharp, but beneath it was something else. Conflict. Shame. A strange warmth in her chest she didn't want to acknowledge. She hated it, but craved it too. Still, she kept the act up. For Lucifer. For the plan. Even if it made her want to scream. Francisca glanced around at the students walking by, laughing, chatting, clueless. She leaned in slightly and whispered, "Pick someone. Anyone. I'll handle the cover." Her hand began to glow faintly with orange runes, weaving a subtle illusion around them. Ella's eyes scanned the crowd. A young guy, alone, leaning against a pillar and scrolling through his phone. Perfect. She walked toward him slowly, her steps smooth, predatory, lips slightly parted. The guy looked up, surprised but smiling. She touched his chest gently, leaned in, and sank her fangs in just beneath the jawline. Around them, thanks to Francisca's spell, it looked like a couple sneaking a kiss. People smirked and glanced away, minding their business. As Ella fed, the color returned to her cheeks, and her aura slowly stabilized. She pulled back, wiped her lips, and whispered something in the boy's ear before he stumbled off in a daze, forgetting everything. Francisca walked up to her, arms crossed. "Feel better now?" Ella nodded, licking the last drop off her thumb. "Better. Still annoyed, but better." Francisca gave her a look. "So, where is he?" Ella rolled her eyes. "The old art building. Top floor. He's waiting." Francisca turned immediately. "You know," Ella called after her. "If he dies, or whatever, I might actually kill someone for real this time." Francisca didn't respond, just raised her hand and waved without looking back. "Are you going to tell us the truth now?" Angel said, stepping forward with a lazy smirk. "Or should we go tell the others you're full of shit?" Ella froze. She turned slowly and met their eyes. Angel and Ken, the two werewolves who had kept suspiciously quiet since her return. But they weren't fooled. They'd been watching. From the second she walked through the gate, they knew something was off. Ella sighed. "Trust me, it's better if none of you know. The more you learn, the higher the chance he notices you. And trust me, you don't want that kind of attention." Her voice was firm this time. No sarcasm, no snark, just quiet, tired warning. Angel raised a brow. That tone wasn't like her. "So, what's this talk about killing if anything happens to Lucifer?" Angel asked, teasing smile curling her lips. "Didn't know you two were that close." Ella's eyes twitched. A slight blush crept up her cheeks, but she wiped it away fast like it never happened. "Well, since I kind of escaped thanks to him," she said, arms folded, "he technically owes me his life. So if anyone's going to kill him, it's going to be me." A slow grin followed. Angel laughed. "That still doesn't explain why you reek of cum, though." Ella's eyes widened. "T-Seach, damn werewolf noses," she hissed before turning and storming off, muttering curses under her breath. Ken blinked. "Wait, what's she talking about?" He'd barely been paying attention. Eyes locked on a tall girl with silver hair and long legs who just walked through the gate. Angel rolled her eyes. "Nothing. Go back to your little fantasy." She patted his shoulder and walked off, still laughing under her breath. Ken didn't say a word. He just started walking. Angel paused mid-step, watching him with a brow raised. No way. The silver-haired girl had stopped to check her phone. She stood near the fountain, sunlight bouncing off her long hair like strands of light. Her uniform was crisp, her presence calm, like she didn't care about anyone or anything around her. Ken walked straight up to her, hands in his pockets, heart oddly steady. "Ah," he said. The girl blinked, looking up. Hey, I'm Ken." He scratched the back of his neck, eyes casually roaming everywhere except her face. "Second year." "You." "Dara. Also second year," she said with a polite smile. "Are we in the same class or something?" Ken shook his head. "Nah, I'd remember." Dara tilted her head slightly. "Oh, you sure about that?" He met her gaze then. Sharp amber eyes, soft but intense. "Very." She blinked, caught off guard for a second by how serious he suddenly looked. Then she laughed, light, almost airy. "You're weird," she said, still smiling. Ken grinned. "Yeah, I get that a lot." They stood there for a beat, just looking at each other. The background noise of the school faded into a hum. Then, flump, a pigeon smacked into the side of a trash bin and fluttered off in panic. Ken looked away, holding back a laugh. Dara chuckled. Anyway, I should get going. I've got class in 10. You always walk alone? Ken asked before she could turn. Yeah, I like the peace. People talk too much. He nodded. Same. Dara glanced at him one last time. Well, see you around, Ken. Yeah, he replied. Definitely. She walked away. Ken watched her go, something tugging at his chest. He could still smell her scent. Soft, clean, human, very human. She squinted. This idiot's falling for a human, typical. The room was dim, the curtains barely letting in any sunlight. Dust floated lazily in the air. Lucifer stood by the window, one hand in his pocket, the other holding back the curtain slightly. He watched Francisca sprint across the courtyard, heading straight for the building. Her aura flared lightly, definitely pissed, definitely in a rush. Figures, he muttered with a small smirk. Behind him, the body of a dead vampire lay sprawled on the floor, fangs still bared in a permanent snarl. Just a low-level rogue. They needed something for the others to believe the story, after all. A little stage blood, a clean kill, perfect setup. Lucifer sighed and waved his hand in front of him. Ding! Quest tab complete. Drink the blood of a supernatural being within 24 hours. Status complete. Reward +2 stat points. Passive skill unlocked. Vampire's taste. You can now detect blood quality and hidden traits with a single sip. Hunt a rogue vampire. Status complete. Reward +50 EXP +1 stat point. Item unlocked. Cloak of Night's Edge. A rare cloak woven from cursed shadows. Grants +10% movement speed in darkness and dampens aura presence. Mark her as yours. Status complete. Reward +1 Bloodline evolution point. Skill unlocked. Crimson Claim. With this mark, your bound can no longer be claimed by another. Grants a mental link and increases obedience. Lucifer's eyes narrowed slightly at the glowing new notifications. Crimson Claim, huh? That explains the look in her eyes, he muttered, thinking back to Ella's strange mix of frustration and obsession. New quests unlocked. Quest name, create your first spawn. Objective, turn a human into a vampire using your blood. Reward, +3 stat points, /unlock skill, Bloodline Pulse. Time limit, 24 hours. They will carry your legacy or die trying. Quest name, assert dominance in the circle. Objective, win a fight against another supernatural being of the same level or higher. Reward, +100 EXP, /unlock passive, Predator's Aura. Time limit, 48 hours. Quest name, feed without killing. Objective, feed from a willing supernatural or human without draining them to death. Reward, +5 stat point. Time limit, 12 hours. Lucifer waved his hand again, the translucent screen of his quest system fading into his status page. He squinted slightly, watching the numbers shift as the system updated. Ding! You have gained 50 EXP +500 EXP +10 EXP +35 EXP equals 595 EXP. You have leveled up. Level up bonus, +5 stat points. You are now level 6. Lucifer raised a brow. TCH. Not bad. The screen shimmered and morphed. Name, Lucifer. Surname, unknown. Race, half-vampire, progenitor lineage. Incomplete awakening. Level 6. EXP, 95 out of 700. Bloodline. Progenitor bloodline. Stage 1. Assimilated with primordial lust demon bloodline. Title none. HP, 580 of 580. MP, 200 out of 200. Stamina, 270. Strength, 25. Agility, 28. Endurance, 24. Intelligence, 22. Charisma, 38. Luck, 13. Stat points available, 8. Lucifer looked over the stats, lips curving slightly. His charisma was spiking fast. That explained the looks, The obedience, the way people's eyes lingered. He let out a quiet laugh, something low and smooth. So, this is what it feels like to rise. Francisca pushed the door open with a breathless rush. Her eyes landed on the lifeless body of the rogue vampire, slumped cold and still in the corner of the room. Without hesitation, her hands flared to life, blue foxfire crackling in her palms, and with a whisper of heat and light, the body was reduced to glowing ashes. Then she turned and ran into Lucifer's arms. "Are you all right?" she asked, clutching him tightly. Her voice cracked just a little. "I'm sorry I kept this secret from you, and now you're hurt because of it." Lucifer smiled faintly, brushing a lock of her hair back. "I'm fine. Really." He pulled back just enough to look at her face. "You don't have to blame yourself. I was the one who got dramatic, but I've made peace with it. I'm a vampire now. That's just how it is." Francisca bit her lower lip. "Still, I'm sorry." Before she could say more, the air shimmered, light bending, pulsing. "Hate to cut into this little drama." A voice floated in playfully, "But I've got something for you, Lou." Out of nowhere, a girl materialized like mist forming in a shape. Her presence was ethereal, her silver hair floating slightly like it was caught in a gentle wind. She held out a black ring with a glowing purple gem at its center. "This'll keep you from turning into a crispy corpse under the sun. Trust me, you'll need it." Lucifer blinked. "Temmie." Francisca stepped back, frowning. "Who are you?" she snapped. Temmie just chuckled. "Chill. I'm Temmie, spirit race, and a friend of Lucifer's." Her smile was soft, graceful, a little too graceful. Francisca's brow tightened. "Spirit race? That doesn't exist here." Temmie shrugged like it didn't matter. "We don't exactly advertise." "Now," she turned to Lucifer and pressed the ring gently into his palm. "Daylight ring. Been in my family for ages. But you need it more than I do." Lucifer stared at the ring like it was a miracle. "Where did you get this?" "Long story," Temmie replied. "But what matters is it works. Wear it, and the sun won't fry you." Francisca crossed her arms. "And why give him something that's been in your family? Doesn't that mean anything to you?" "Well, I don't really need it," Temmie said, her voice calm as always. "Besides, Lucifer needs it more than I do." She turned to him with a little smile. "Come on, put on already." Lucifer held the ring in his palm. The purple gem shimmered softly, almost breathing. The longer he stared, the more he felt something ancient stir inside it, like it was alive. He hesitated for a second before sliding it onto his finger. The moment it touched his skin, a rush of energy rippled through him. His vision flickered, the air shimmered, and a window popped up in his vision like a hologram. Progenitor's Ring. Ancient vampire artifact. Grade, mythic. Type, equipment bound. Status, linked to Bloodline, Progenitor. Sunlight immunity, passive. +5 to all stats while under sunlight. Light resistance, +50%, passive. Blood magic efficiency, +30%. Charm/influence range boost. Unlock. Bloodline memory fragment, sealed. Unlock. Vampire King's presence, sealed. Only one of its kind. Forged for the first vampire. Lost for ages, now found. Lucifer stared at the stats, completely speechless. His heart thudded once like it skipped a beat. "What the hell is this ring?" he muttered under his breath. He didn't say anything to Temmie or Francisca. He just kept staring at the faint glow on his finger, pretending to be calm. But before he could even blink, another window flashed open. New quest unlocked. Quest name, Legacy of the First Fawn. Objective, locate the progenitor's lost artifacts. Description, the blood that runs in your veins carries a forgotten legacy. The progenitor once scattered his creations across the world, sealing them to prevent them from falling into the wrong hands. Seek them out and reclaim your birthright. Time limit, none. Reward. / Artifacts remaining, 7. 1. Progenitor's Blade. 2. Crimson Grimoire. 3. Throne of Thorns. 4. Veil of the Eternal Night. 5. Blood Chalice of Urek. 6. Heart of the Old Moon. 7. The Nameless Crown. Lucifer's eyes narrowed slightly. He said nothing, didn't flinch, just gave a small nod like he was checking the ring's fit. It feels warm, he finally said, glancing up with a faint grin. Might actually get used to wearing jewelry. Temmie smiled, satisfied. Good. You'll need it. Francisca didn't miss the way he paused earlier, but she didn't press him. Instead, she stepped closer. Well, now you won't burn to death when the sun rises. That's a win. Lucifer chuckled softly, eyes still flicking back to the glowing system screen only he could see. He had a ring made for a king. And now, a path laid out just for him. But he said nothing. So this is where I'll be staying, Lucifer said as he pushed the door open, stepping into the small but cozy house just outside campus. The walls still smelled of fresh paint, and the afternoon sun poured in through the windows like golden silk. Francisca stood at the doorway, arms folded. Her eyes scanned the place, then shifted back to him. You're really going through with this, she said quietly. Lucifer gave a small nod and dropped his duffel bag onto the floor. Yeah, it's quiet here. Peaceful. Francisca walked in slowly, the wooden floor creaking under her boots. We were supposed to live together, remember? That was the plan. I know, Lucifer said, opening a box and pulling out some books. But things changed. She sighed, her fox ears twitching faintly. I get it. I really do. You want space to deal with everything. The vampire thing, the blood, the powers. Lucifer didn't answer, just gave a slight shrug as he placed the books on a shelf. But are you sure you want to be alone? She asked, stepping closer. You're still new to this. The urges, the cravings, they'll hit harder than you think. And if you're too far, if something happens, I won't be able to reach you in time. Lucifer glanced at her over his shoulder. I'm fine. It's weird, but it doesn't feel overwhelming. Honestly, it's like I've always had this in me. I'm just used to it. Francisca raised an eyebrow. You're handling it way too well for a fledgling. That's not normal. Guess I'm built different. He smirked. She didn't laugh. Still, be careful. One wrong move, one slip up, and the hunters will come for you. Lucifer paused. His hand froze mid-air as he unpacked a frame. He looked down, quiet for a second. Hunters, he muttered. You've mentioned them before. They're not just a story, Lou. They don't care if you're new or if you're handling it. They kill first, ask questions never. Lucifer exhaled, eyes flicking up to meet hers. I'll keep that in mind. Francisca nodded and started helping him unpack without another word. The silence between them wasn't awkward. It was thick with unspoken things. Fears, worries, hope. Outside, the wind brushed through the trees. Back at campus, I guess Lucifer doesn't need your help anymore, Ken muttered as he flopped onto the couch, stretching his legs and holding out his hand. Mob didn't need words. He grabbed the bourbon from the table and tossed it over. Ken caught it smoothly, popped the cap, and took a long swig. Remu, who had just walked in, froze mid-step. Her brows drew together. What do you mean by that? She was already halfway through preparing a temporary daylight spell for Lucifer. After all, convincing a newly turned vampire to rely on her magic? That was a perfect setup, power and control. Mob had talked her into it. And now this? What he means, a voice chimed in, is that your spell won't be necessary. Angel walked in casually, flipping through a thick book in her hands. Her tone was sharp but calm, like she enjoyed breaking bad news. Lucifer was gifted something called a daylight ring. Apparently, he's already out and about under the sun. Remu's heart skipped. Her eyes twitched, but she kept her face neutral. A daylight ring? Her mind spun. Impossible. Her mother, the head of the Lunar Balloon Coven, had spent decades trying to track down the original design. If they could replicate it, they'd control the vampire market. All those bloodsuckers relying on temporary spells? That meant money, influence. And now some random guy, freshly turned, already had one? Daylight ring. Remu asked innocently, tilting her head like she'd never heard of it before. That lets vampires walk in the sun, right? Mob gave her a look. Didn't Ken just say that like 2 minutes ago? Ken raised the bottle. Cheers to selective hearing. Remu ignored them, her mind still racing. Where'd he get it? Mob asked, cutting through the noise. Francisca said it was from a girl named Temmie. Angel replied, eyes still on her book. No idea who she is, though. The name doesn't ring any bells. Remu turned toward the window, pretending to be uninterested. But deep inside, something twisted. Timmy, huh? Whoever you are, you just made things complicated. Lucifer wiped the sweat from his brow and cracked open a cold soda, the hiss echoing slightly in the quiet apartment. He took a long sip, then leaned back against the kitchen counter, eyes following Francisca as she headed for the door. I'll be going now. I've got class in like 30 minutes, she said with a soft smile, brushing her hair behind her ear. See you later this evening? Yeah, sure. Lucifer nodded, watching her disappear down the hallway. The second the door clicked shut, everything about him shifted. The laid-back expression faded. He dropped the soda onto the table, eyes narrowing as a slow grin crept onto his face. All right, he muttered, stretching his arms as he stepped over to the window, looking out at the quiet street below. Now we begin. This wasn't just about survival anymore. It was bigger than that. He was a vampire now, and not just any vampire, progenitor bloodline. Incomplete or not, that came with weight. Eyes would be on him soon. Maybe enemies, maybe worse. The hunters, the covens, the clans. He didn't know who exactly, but he could feel in his bones he'd stirred something, which meant there was only one thing to do. Get strong, fast. But first, he opened the system interface with a thought. Lines of quests greeted him. A lot. He smirked. Might as well clear some of these. Quests meant rewards. Rewards meant stats, items, maybe even new skills. Everything he needed to stop being someone who reacts and become someone everyone else reacts to. After that, a network, he whispered to himself, stepping back into the living room. A web of people I can trust and use. He sat on the couch, fingers drumming against his knee, already thinking ahead. Vampires, spirits, witches, even humans. If they've got value, I'll bring them in. Because one thing was clear, Lucifer wasn't going to be just another vampire in the crowd. He was going to be the one standing above them all. What do we have here? A prey, one of the thugs said with a sick grin, cracking his knuckles as he stepped out from the alley shadows. 3 of them, all rough-looking guys in their 20s, reeking of smoke and cheap cologne. One had a chain around his wrist, another had a metal pipe, and the last one just smiled like he enjoyed this way too much. The girl they surrounded looked no older than 17. Short black hair, oversized hoodie, and a backpack she hugged close to her chest like a shield. Her eyes darted from one guy to another, panic slowly creeping in. Ah, don't be scared, sweetheart, the one with the pipe said, twirling it in his fingers. We just want to talk. Yeah, the chain guy chuckled, stepping in front of her escape route. You in a hurry, or something? It's dangerous out here at night. The girl backed up slowly, heart pounding. Her lips parted like she wanted to scream, but her voice got stuck in her throat. Come on now, the grinning one said, reaching for her arm. Thud. His hand never made it. He staggered back, eyes wide, clutching his wrist. Blood started dripping down his fingers. Something had cut him, but no one saw it happen. The others looked around, confused. Then they heard it. Footsteps. Slow, calm, heavy. From the other end of the alley, someone walked toward them, hands in his coat pockets, face hidden in the dim streetlight. Lucifer. He stopped a few steps away, his eyes glowing faint red, just enough to make their spines freeze. I was just passing by, he said casually, but you guys seriously ruined my night. Chain guy raised his hand, panicked. Who the hell are you? Lucifer tilted his head. Someone who's really not in the mood. The girl stared at him, shocked. She didn't know who this guy was, but something about him felt dangerous. Untouchable. The thugs? They didn't realize it yet, but they just messed with the wrong person. The first one lunged at Lucifer with a metal pipe, shouting like a mad dog. Big mistake. Lucifer moved like a shadow. One step forward. A flick of the wrist. Crack. The guy's arm bent the wrong way. Bone pierced skin. He screamed, but it was short-lived. Lucifer grabbed his face and slammed it against the brick wall. Once. Twice. Thrice. Blood sprayed. The guy dropped like a puppet with cut strings. The one with the chain swung wildly, panic all over his face. Lucifer didn't even blink. He caught the chain mid-air, yanked it, and the thug came flying toward him. Lucifer raised his knee. Thud. Ribs shattered on impact. The guy gasped, dropped the chain, fell to his knees. Then Lucifer grabbed his head with both hands and twisted. Snap. Silence. The last one tried to run. Lucifer blurred. 1 second he was standing still. The next he was behind him. He grabbed him by the hair, yanked his head back, baring his neck like a wolf about to bite. But he didn't. Instead, Lucifer turned to the girl, his eyes still glowing red, face calm, not a drop of blood on him. You okay? He asked, voice low. The girl couldn't speak. She just nodded, clutching her bag like her life depended on it. Lucifer tightened his grip on the thug's hair. You know her? He asked the guy. The thug whimpered and shook his head. Good, Lucifer said coldly. Means I don't have to feel bad. He looked at the girl again. Lucifer stepped forward, still holding the last thug by the hair like a rag doll. The girl staggered back a little, eyes wide with terror. What's your name? W, what are you? She whispered, voice trembling. Lucifer tilted his head slightly, amused by her reaction. I asked for your name, he said again, this time more gently, though his fangs still peeked through his smile. I'm Lucifer. At that, her face twisted in pure panic. Lucifer? Lucifer? Fangs. Blood. Death. Her hands began to shake as she backed into a wall. You're the devil, she muttered, like a frightened prayer. Lucifer blinked. Oh, he said after a beat, realizing what she must be thinking. Not that one. Well, not exactly. He chuckled softly and let go of the thug, who crumpled to the floor unconscious. Lucifer walked toward her, slow and calm, until the girl had nowhere else to run. He crouched just a bit, bringing his glowing crimson eyes to her level. Hey, he said, voice low, what's your name? Anita. Anita. He tasted the name. That's nice. She flinched when he said it, like he had her soul in his hand. Lucifer stood up straight and looked at the moonlight pouring over them. The streets were silent, eerie, except for the slow dripping of blood behind him. You got power, Anita? He asked suddenly. She blinked. W what? Power. Influence. Respect. Fear. Anything? You got any of that? She hesitated. No. Lucifer looked down at her, eyes glowing brighter now. I was like you once. Small. Weak. Just another face in the crowd, he said, stepping closer. But not anymore. I'm not just someone. I'm something. He extended a hand toward her. I'm giving you a chance, Anita. A way out of that weak little life. A chance to be reborn into power. She stared at his hand, then into his eyes. There was no lie there. Just danger and a promise. What happens if I say yes? Lucifer's grin widened. Then you stop being prey. Anita looked at his hand again. Slowly, almost fearfully, she reached out and took it. I want power, she said. Lucifer's eyes gleamed like rubies in the dark. System. How do I turn someone? He asked mentally. Turning a human into a vampire requires 2 steps. Feed them your blood. Then kill them. Upon resurrection, they will awaken as your child. Lucifer licked his lips. All right, Anita, he said softly. This is going to hurt a little. He bit into his own wrist. Blood dark and thick like black wine dripped down. He offered it to her. Drink. She stared, then took it and drank. When her lips pulled away, her eyes were already glassy, her breath shallow. Lucifer stepped forward, pulling her close. It's okay, he whispered. Then he sank his fangs in her neck, softly, almost lovingly, and her body slowly went limp in his arms. A second later, her heart stopped, and Lucifer held her close, whispering, Sleep now, Anita. When you wake up, you'll never be weak again. The night hung heavy like a blanket, soaked in silence. The alleyway reeked of blood, smoke, and something darker now. Lucifer stood still, holding Anita's lifeless body in his arms. Her hoodie had slipped off her head, and her face looked peaceful. Too peaceful. Then, her fingers twitched. Lucifer raised an eyebrow. Another twitch. Then a slow inhale, shaky, like she hadn't breathed in years. Her eyes snapped open. They weren't the same. No longer brown. They glowed faint red. Not bright like Lucifer's, but new. Raw. Unstable. Hungry. She gasped, her body jerking like she was drowning in air. Her hands gripped Lucifer's coat like she was falling. Holy what? Her voice cracked, then fell quiet. Lucifer just smiled, a proud kind of smile. Welcome back, Anita. She stared at him, breathing fast, heart pounding in her ears, except it wasn't her heart. It was his. She could hear it, smell it, the blood, the warmth. And then she felt it. Hunger. Lucifer gently turned her around in his arms, like guiding someone through a dance, until she was facing the barely conscious thug. The last one, still groaning, still bleeding, crawling weakly. You're not done yet, Lucifer said softly beside her ear. Anita blinked, dazed. What do you mean? You're still human. Halfway. He stepped back and pointed at the man on the ground. Feed. Complete the change. She froze, staring at the thug. The scent of blood hit her again. Stronger this time. So sweet. So close. Feed. She whispered, confused. Like bite him. Lucifer nodded slowly, eyes glowing in the dark. You want power? Then take it. He tried to hurt you. Now you make him your first meal. Anita took a shaky step forward. Her hands trembled. Her mouth opened and fangs. They dropped down on instinct, sharp and gleaming in the moonlight. She knelt beside the thug, eyes locked on his neck. His breathing hitched when he saw her face. Her eyes. Her teeth. Peel, please. He whispered. She hesitated for a second. Then, she sank her fangs into his neck. He screamed, then gurgled. Lucifer watched like a proud older brother at a graduation ceremony. Arms crossed, eyes glowing. Anita drank. Her body trembled, then stopped. Then, a pulse. It rippled through her like lightning, from her toes to the tips of her hair. Her eyes flared crimson. Her heart, dead just moments ago, beat once, then stopped for good. But she wasn't dead. She was something else now. Ding. Lucifer's system chimed in his head. Quest complete. Create your first spawn. Reward, plus 3 stat points. Skill unlocked, Bloodline Pulse. Bloodline Pulse. Active, you can send a surge of energy through your vampire lineage, temporarily increasing your child's speed, strength, and senses for 10 seconds. Cool down 1 minute. It can also emit a pulse that forces all child created by you to freeze or obey, depending on intent. Scales with charisma and blood affinity. Lucifer let out a low whistle. Nice. He flicked his fingers, pulling up his stats menu for a second. 3 new points glowed, waiting to be used. He smiled but didn't touch them yet. He had time. Right now, this was about her. Anita slowly pulled back from the thug's now pale neck, wiping blood from her lips with the sleeve of her hoodie. Her eyes met Lucifer's. I feel different, she muttered, voice deeper, calmer. A strange kind of confidence in her tone now. You are different, Lucifer said. You're mine now. My child. He stepped closer, brushing a bit of dried blood off her cheek with his thumb. How do you feel? Anita looked down at her hands, clenched them, opened them, then cracked her neck with a satisfying pop. Strong, she said. Lucifer grinned. Told you. She looked back at the thug. Is he dead? Almost. Don't worry. You'll learn how to stop before killing them. Eventually. Lucifer looked at the sky. The moon was high, the night still young. You hungry for more? He asked with a sly smile. Anita wiped her mouth again, a twitch of a smirk forming. Kinda. Lucifer turned, walking towards the exit of the alley. Come on then, Rook. First night out. Let's see what kind of monster you'll become. Anita followed, her footsteps now silent. Shadow-like. The alley went quiet again. Only the dead remained. Not far from the alley, the bass from a club thumped through the night like a heartbeat. Neon lights pulsed over a line of people waiting outside. Heels tapping, cigarettes burning, some drunk, some bored, all impatient. Lucifer strolled past them like the line didn't exist, hands in his coat pockets. Anita walking behind him, hoodie up, eyes still adjusting to the world with her new senses. People started complaining. Hey, back of the line, jackass. The hell does he think he is? Lucifer didn't even blink. The bouncer, a big guy, arms like tree trunks, shades even at night, stepped forward, hand on Lucifer's chest. No cutting. Lucifer met his eyes. Just one look. That was all it took. Let us in. The bouncer's mouth opened to argue. then slowly shut. He stepped aside without a word, like a machine switched off. Lucifer walked in like he owned the place, Anita following close, wide-eyed. Inside, it was chaos. Flashing lights, bodies grinding, drinks sloshing. The music hit like a wave, heavy, loud, intoxicating. Lucifer leaned toward Anita. "Rule 1, he said over the music, blend in. He pulled off her hoodie, ruffled her hair a bit, and gave her a lazy smile. "You're not prey anymore, remember? Act like it." She looked around, nervous, but nodded. They made their way to the bar. Lucifer ordered a drink just to hold something. Anita sat beside him, fidgeting. "Thirsty yet?" he asked casually. "Yeah, kinda." "Good," he said, eyes scanning the crowd. "Pick someone." "What?" He chuckled. "Relax. I'll help. We're not killing tonight. Just a taste." Quest updated. Feed without killing. Time remaining, 1H, 27M. Lucifer spotted a guy in a leather jacket, dancing with a girl, clearly drunk but grinning. His heartbeat was loud in Anita's ears. She looked at him like a cat watching a bird. Lucifer leaned in again. "He'll do. Watch me first." He moved through the crowd, smooth as smoke, tapped the guy on the shoulder. "Hey," Lucifer said with a smile. "Mind if I borrow you for a second?" "Huh? Sure, I guess." Lucifer guided him to a quiet corner behind the speakers. The guy looked confused but didn't resist. Lucifer smiled and placed a hand on his neck gently. "This won't hurt. Much." Fangs flashed. A soft bite, just enough to make the guy groan and blink slowly, like slipping into a dream. Lucifer pulled away, licking his lips. The guy stood there, dazed but fine. "See?" Lucifer said, wiping the corner of his mouth. "Easy. Now you." Anita stepped forward, hands shaking. Lucifer guided her. Behind the ear. "Small bite. Just take a little. Don't drain." She bit. The man tensed, then relaxed. Anita's eyes widened. She tasted blood. Warm. Sweet. Alive. She pulled back, breathing hard, heart racing. The guy blinked. "Whoa, I feel kind of good." "Go dance," Lucifer said, patting his back. The guy wandered off with a goofy smile. Quest complete. Feed without killing. Plus 5 stat points awarded. New title unlocked. Gentle Predator. Anita leaned against the wall, panting slightly. "That was insane." Lucifer grinned. "Told you. Feeding can be fun, especially when no one dies." They went back to the bar. Lucifer raised his glass. "To the night," he said. "To not being weak," Anita added, still tasting blood on her lips. The music pounded. Lights flashed. And somewhere deep inside her, Anita smiled.
The night was wild. Lucifer was in his element. Drinks in hand, charm on full blast, laughing with a ridiculously hot bartender who was clearly eating up every word. The lights danced across his sharp features like he was made for this place. And Anita? She was having the time of her life. A few hours ago, she was just a regular girl. Poor background. Scholarship student. Always with her head in the books. Her plan was simple. Stay out of trouble, ace every class, get that first-class degree, become a doctor, and pull her family out of the dirt. That was the dream. But all that, gone in one night. She was almost cornered by a group of thugs when he appeared. Smooth, calm, dangerous. Lucifer. He didn't just save her. He gave her power. Not just strength. Real power. The kind that made her body feel alive for the first time. The kind that made the world stop feeling scary. Now, she wasn't scared anymore. She wasn't the prey. She was the one with the fangs. Anita stopped dancing. The music kept pulsing, but her eyes locked onto Lucifer. He hadn't even noticed her watching. He was too busy charming the bartender. Typical. She smirked, then turned her head, eyes scanning the dance floor. There, her next bite. A cute guy, sweaty from dancing, heartbeat loud in her ears. He looked her way and smiled. She smiled back. "You're lucky, Knight," she whispered under her breath, stepping forward. Because now, she was a predator. The next day, sunlight spilled through the half-open blinds, casting soft lines across the bed. Lucifer opened his eyes slowly, stretching a bit before glancing at the naked bartender, still asleep beside him. Her red lips were slightly parted, and her makeup was smudged from the night before. He slid out of bed without a sound, grabbed a long black coat hanging on the chair, and tossed it over his bare body. The fabric draped smoothly as he walked out of the room, the sound of his footsteps soft against the polished wooden floor. In the living room, he picked up his phone and dialed. "Yo, Zane," he said casually, voice still raspy from sleep. "I need a favor." He didn't wait for a reply. "Throw a party. Big one. Invite your people, rich kids, influencers, the loud mouths in this college, and anyone with connections outside. I want this to be loud. Glorious. Set for a couple weeks from now." He walked toward the window and looked out. "Also, use your mom's connections. Get me into one of those top-tier hospitals. The ones with private wings. That's all for now." Click. Call ended. No time for back and forth. Did I hear something about a party? Lucifer didn't turn. The bartender leaned against the doorway, fully dressed now, hair tied up. Her heels dangled from one hand as she smiled playfully. "Yeah," Lucifer said without looking, "but you're not invited. It's for people in high places." She raised an eyebrow, pretending to be hurt. "Ouch! That's cold. You sure about that? Just because I'm not in high places doesn't mean I don't know people there." That made him pause. Slowly, he turned to face her, eyes narrowing a little. She didn't flinch, just kept smiling. Lucifer stepped closer, eyes locked onto hers. "You know someone important?" She shrugged. "Maybe. Depends. What's it worth to you?" He studied her for a second, then a slow smirk crept onto his lips. "Maybe you are worth keeping around." She walked past him, brushing his coat lightly as she moved toward the door. "Think about it, devil boy. You've got my number." The door shut behind her with a soft click. Lucifer stood there for a moment, then let out a low chuckle. "Interesting." His phone buzzed. A message from Zane. "Done. Party will be unforgettable. And I've already called my mom." Lucifer tossed the phone onto the couch and walked to the kitchen. He poured himself a drink, even though it was still morning. Raised a glass to his lips, the cold drink just inches away, when his phone buzzed again. Lucifer sighed and looked at the screen. "Anita." He swiped to answer. "Hello." Her voice came through, soft but panicked. "Lucifer, I can't walk in the sun. It burns. Like, really burns." Lucifer stopped mid-sip, lowering the glass slowly. "Figures," he muttered, rubbing his temple with his fingers. He walked over to the couch and sat down, eyes scanning the ceiling like he was calculating something. "All right, calm down. Hold on. I'll figure it out. But it's crazy. I tried stepping out and..." I said, "Hold on, Anita." His voice was calm but firm. "Just stay inside. Curtains drawn. I'll handle it." There was silence on the line for a second. Then she whispered, "Okay." Lucifer ended the call and leaned back into the couch, his coat sliding open slightly as he stared at the ceiling. The sunlit room suddenly felt a bit too bright. "Reem, you might be able to help," Lucifer muttered, staring at his phone. "But I doubt I can get her to agree, not without breaking something." He stood by the window, arms folded. He knew how Remu was, loud, stubborn, quick to throw a curse when pissed. Not as chaotic as Ella, sure, but definitely not the type to sit down and talk things out. The only reason Ella gave in so easily was because she was a vampire. And Lucifer? He was a progenitor, the original blood. It didn't matter if his strength wasn't at full power yet. His bloodline authority still hit hard. But Remu was a witch. And worse, one that didn't exactly like him. Lucifer sighed. Well, only one way to find out. He tossed the phone on the couch and headed to the bathroom. Water splashed. Steam filled the air. His eyes, sharp and glowing faintly in the mirror, narrowed as he wiped the fog from the glass. Minutes later, dressed in all black with that lazy but dangerous vibe he always carried, Lucifer stepped out. The sky was bright, the world busy, and Remu was probably already in a mood somewhere. "Let's go stir the cauldron," he said with a crooked grin as he walked out the door.
That was intense. Two bodies hit the mat, panting like they'd just run a marathon. Mob and Ken laid there, drenched in sweat, staring at the ceiling like it held answers to life. The gym lights buzzed quietly overhead. Their sparring match had been brutal, fast, and explosive, just the way they liked it. Then, soft footsteps echoed in the room. Angel walked in, a thick book in one hand, glasses sliding down her nose. She looked way too calm compared to the war zone vibe in the air. "I still don't get why you came to college and never show up for class," she said, barely glancing at Ken. "It's your second year." Ken gave a lazy grin, brushing sweat from his brow. "Exactly. Second year. I was full of energy in my first. That count for something, right?" Angel just sighed and found a spot by the wall, flipping her book open and ignoring him. The door swung open again. Lucifer stepped in, hands in his pockets, that usual casual arrogance dripping from every step. "Yo," he said, voice smooth. "I'm looking for Remu. Any idea where she is?" The room froze. Mob sat up. Ken blinked. Angel looked up over her glasses like he'd grown a second head. Lucifer and Remu didn't exactly have what you'd call a friendly history. Same with Ella. So hearing him ask for Remu like it was nothing? Weird. "She's in class. Should be done in an hour," Angel finally said, then paused. She narrowed her eyes. "Wait, aren't you supposed to be in class right now?" Lucifer rubbed the back of his neck with a half smile. "Yeah, about that. Still trying to control my bloodlust. Probably not a good idea to sit in a room full of humans just yet, you know?" Angel scoffed and clicked her tongue. "Liar." Lucifer gave a small shrug like, maybe, then walked past them and sat on the windowsill, staring outside, waiting. "Hey, want to have a friendly spar?" Ken called out from the floor, wiping sweat off his brow. "Might help you get used to that vamp strength of yours." Lucifer turned slowly, eyeing him with interest. He hadn't really tested himself since the turn. The power running through his body was new, wild, untamed. Ken wasn't a regular guy. Dude could fight. But Mob was different. A Nephilim. Half angel. Supposedly leagues above the rest. Still, books and movies didn't always match real life. He'd have to find out himself. Lucifer smirked. "Well, I've got nothing better to do. I'm down." Ken grinned and got up, stretching his neck with a loud crack. "All right then, vampire boy. Try not to break the walls." Mob moved to the side with a quiet chuckle, grabbing a towel and sitting next to Angel, who was still pretending to read, but definitely watching. The sparring mat creaked under Lucifer's bare feet as he stepped into the circle. He took off his coat and dropped it to the side, standing shirtless, lean and toned. More beast than boy. Ken cracked his knuckles and dropped into a loose stance. "Don't hold back, yeah?" Lucifer's red eyes gleamed. "I was about to say the same." The moment the bell sound rang, courtesy of Mob tapping his phone, Ken dashed in. Fast, strong, but Lucifer moved like smoke. He ducked the first swing, then slid around with a blur, throwing a punch that Ken barely blocked. Boom! The shockwave from the clash blew dust across the room, making Angel's pages flutter. "Whoa!" Mob muttered, eyes lighting up. Ken was smiling now. His arm tingled from the block, and he could feel it. Lucifer wasn't just fast. He was heavy. Every hit carried unnatural weight. "You've got hands," Ken said, wiping a trail of blood from his lip. "I like that." Lucifer tilted his head, fangs flashing ever so slightly. "And you're tougher than you look." Ken's grin stretched wider. His eyes flicked blue for a moment, werewolf instincts kicking in. He lunged again, this time faster, claws sprouting mid-swing as his hand came down in a savage arc. Shine. Lucifer tilted his body just in time, but Ken's claws grazed his side, ripping through skin. Blood sprayed. Black-red, thick, steaming slightly like it didn't belong in this world. Lucifer winced, but didn't stop. He leaned in and slammed his forehead into Ken's nose. Crack! Ken staggered back, blood gushing down his face, and laughed. Okay, that one hurt." Lucifer's eyes narrowed, glowing crimson now. He didn't wait. He flashed forward again, one foot sliding along the mat as he ducked low and punched Ken straight in the gut. Ken coughed, spitting blood, but didn't fall. He caught Lucifer's arm before he could pull back and twisted it, dragging him into a brutal knee to the ribs. Lucifer flew back, skidding across the floor with a thud, coughing hard. Angel flinched. Mob's expression sharpened, now more interested than amused. Lucifer slowly stood, wiping blood from his mouth, breathing heavy. His shirt was in tatters, skin bruised and bleeding across his side and chest. He looked up at Ken with a wild glint in his eye. Ken cracked his knuckles again, already healing, chest rising and falling with excitement. "You've got speed, but you're light. Gotta bulk up, vamp boy." Lucifer gave a small chuckle, wiped his face, and suddenly disappeared. Boom! He reappeared mid-air behind Ken and slammed both feet into his back, launching him forward like a missile. Ken crashed into the padded wall with a loud bang, cracking it. "Lucifer!" Angel yelled, standing up. But Ken stood too, blood trailing down his cheek, hair wild, smile even wider. "Oh, now it's personal," he growled, his voice deepening feral. He rushed forward, faster than before. Their fists clashed in the center of the mat, shock waves blasting out from the impact. Blood sprayed from both of them as they traded hit for hit. No dodging now, just raw power and speed. Claws raked skin. Fangs sank into flesh for split seconds before they broke apart again. They moved too fast for the eye to follow. Only flashes of motion, bursts of energy, and the dull roar of fists hitting flesh. Ken managed to land a spinning kick to Lucifer's head, sending him tumbling, but Lucifer caught himself, flipped midair, and landed in a crouch, grinning with a trail of blood running down his chin. Both of them were panting, bruised, bloodied, but standing. Mob whistled, impressed. "That's a real fight." Angel just crossed her arms, annoyed. "Idiots. One of them's gonna pass out." Lucifer stood upright, cracking his neck. "This is fun." Ken wiped blood from his brow, breathing hard but still smiling. "Yeah, it is." They didn't need to say it, but both knew they were far from done. Lucifer's eyes locked onto Ken, and for a moment, the noise in the room faded. His body ached, blood still dripping from the gash on his ribs, but a smirk crept across his lips. "Guess it's time to stop holding back." With a thought, a semi-transparent screen flickered to life before his eyes, his status tab. Name: Lucifer, surname unknown. Race: half vampire, progenitor lineage, incomplete awakening. Level 6, EXP, 95 out of 700. Bloodline: progenitor bloodline, stage 1, assimilated with primordial lust demon bloodline. Title: none. HP: 580 of 580. MP: 200 out of 200. Stamina: 270. Strength: 25. Agility: 28. Endurance: 24. Intelligence: 22. Charisma: 38. Luck: 13. Stat points available: 12. He dragged points quickly across the stats bar. +6 to strength. +4 to agility. +2 to endurance. The moment he confirmed, a low hum pulsed through his body. His muscles tightened, heart thumped harder, and blood in his veins rushed like fire. Ken noticed the change immediately. "What did you just do?" Lucifer looked up, red eyes glowing deeper now, almost molten. "Level the playing field." Boom! He vanished, no warning. Ken barely had time to react. Lucifer appeared right in front of him and drove a fist straight into his gut. The impact lifted Ken off the ground and sent him crashing into the ceiling before slamming back down onto the mat. Crash! Ken coughed violently, the air knocked clean out of him. His back arched off the floor as blood splattered from his mouth. Lucifer didn't stop. He grabbed Ken by the collar and yanked him up mid-fall, slamming his knee into Ken's ribs hard, twice. Then he spun, dragging Ken across the mat before throwing him headfirst into the far wall. The whole room shook. Mob stood up, serious now. Even Angel lowered her book slowly, eyes wide. Ken groaned, pushing himself out of the dented wall, his bones cracking back into place with sharp pops. His grin had faded. Not gone, just smaller, focused. "You really were holding back," he muttered, wiping blood from his mouth again. Lucifer tilted his head, cracking his knuckles. "Just a little." Ken's eyes flared golden again, muscles bulging as his werewolf side surged. All right then, no more playing nice. They rushed each other again, this time like monsters. Ken's claws slashed in wide arcs, fast and brutal. Lucifer weaved through them, a blur of speed and precision. Each time Ken missed, Lucifer punished him with body shots, fists, elbows, knees, aimed to break. But Ken adapted quickly. He ducked under a right hook, spun around, and locked Lucifer into a full Nelson. Then, with a guttural roar, he suplexed him clean through the floorboards. The mat shattered, dust exploded into the air, and the floor cracked under the impact. Lucifer crawled out of the hole, shirt in ruins, face bloodied, still grinning like a demon. Now we're talking. The two stood there, bleeding, panting, bruised, but alive. Still burning. Ken raised his fists again. One more round. Lucifer wiped blood off his chin. You read my mind. And just like that, they clashed again. Harder. Wilder. A beautiful, chaotic blur of fists, blood, and laughter. The room was wrecked. Chunks of floor missing, walls cracked, air thick with sweat, blood, and heat. Lucifer and Ken were a mess. Both shirtless, bleeding, grinning like lunatics. Clothes torn, bodies bruised, but neither one willing to step back. Ken rushed in again, claws glowing faintly gold, eyes blazing. He leapt into the air, spinning into a wild kick. Lucifer ducked under it and came up inside Ken's guard. Too close. Gotcha. Lucifer's hands shot forward, faster than anyone could blink. SHLK. His fingers pierced straight into Ken's sides, just below the ribs. Blood sprayed. His grip locked around something vital. Mob shot to his feet. Lucifer. Angel dropped her book, eyes wide. What the hell? But Ken just froze, and let out a low chuckle. You got me good. Lucifer stared into his eyes, breathing heavy. Blood ran down his arms, hot and thick. He could feel Ken's heart pounding through his fingers. You're laughing? He asked. Ken winced, but the smirk on his face only grew. You went for the kill. That's the kind of crazy I respect. Lucifer slowly pulled his hands out, blood dripping from his fingertips. He stepped back, chest rising and falling. Then he laughed too. Guess I got carried away. They both stood there, covered in blood, swaying a little, but still smiling. Mob let out a sigh and sat back down. These two are maniacs. Angel picked up her book again, but didn't open it. Idiots. Both of them. Lucifer wiped his hands on what was left of his pants, still chuckling. Damn, werewolf healing is no joke. You should have dropped. Ken cracked his neck, already healing, though still leaking blood. And you punch like a freight train. I think you dented my spleen. They both dropped onto the floor with a thud, back to back, exhausted but satisfied. Ken looked up at the ceiling. So, round 2 later? Lucifer smirked. Hell yeah. And in that wrecked training room, surrounded by dust, cracked tiles, and the smell of blood, they laughed like two old friends who just tried to kill each other. Lucifer sat in the corner, legs stretched out, head resting against the wall. His breathing was steady now, the blood on his body already drying up as the wounds knitted themselves back together. That vampire regeneration was no joke. Ding! A soft, digital chime echoed in his mind. A transparent blue screen faded into view in front of him. He blinked once, then smirked as he read the text. Quest completed. Quest name, assert dominance in the circle. Objective, win a fight against another supernatural being of the same level or higher. Time limit, 48 hours. Status, completed. Reward, plus 100 EXP. Passive skill, unlocked. Predator's aura. He squinted as the screen shifted, revealing more info. Predator's aura, passive. A passive pressure that radiates from your presence alone. Weak-willed enemies hesitate. Supernaturals feel threatened. Beasts submit. In battle, this aura amplifies killing intent, unnerving opponents and lowering their resistance to fear-based effects. Lucifer's red eyes narrowed slightly, a grin spreading across his face. His body felt warmer, sharper. The air around him even seemed to shift, just slightly, like something primal had awakened. Angel looked up from her seat and frowned. Did it just get colder? Mob glanced over, his eyes narrowing as he locked onto Lucifer. His aura changed. "Hey guys! Hey guys!" Ella's voice echoed through the gym doors as she walked in alongside Remu. The buzz in the room dropped a little as Lucifer turned his head toward them. His red eyes scanned the space, then narrowed. No sign of Francisca. "Where's Francisca?" he asked calmly, but his gaze was sharp. The moment Ella heard his voice, it hit her like a wave. Her breath hitched. Her legs wobbled. Her heart felt like it was about to explode. Every part of her body screamed to go to him, to let him have her completely. She bit her lip, fists clenched, trying to hold it together. "We're not in the same major," Remu said coldly, crossing her arms. "How would we know?" Same old Remu. No filter. No care. I'm not feeling well," Ella blurted out, her voice trembling as she turned and vamp sped out of the gym like a gust of wind. Angel blinked. Weird. Since would do vampires not feel well? Everyone looked in the direction Ella disappeared to. Lucifer didn't say a word. He already knew what was wrong, but that wasn't his priority right now. His eyes shifted to Remu, who was already turning to follow Ella. "I'll go check on her," Remu muttered, brushing her hair back as she headed toward the door. But before she could take another step, whoosh, Lucifer appeared right in front of her, blocking her path. His sudden movement made her flinch slightly, more out of surprise than fear. He smiled, charming and dangerous. "I'll let the attitude slide today," he said softly, "because I need your help, away from curious eyes." Before Remu could react, he grabbed her wrist gently, but firmly, and with another burst of speed, they vanished. Whoosh! Silence. Kin, Mob, and Angel stood frozen, staring at the empty space where they'd just been. "What the hell is going on today?" Kin muttered, scratching his head. "Drama." Mob sighed, sipping his water. Angel didn't say anything. She just flipped a page in her book and whispered, "Interesting." Elsewhere on a rooftop, they landed on the rooftop with a soft gust of wind. Lucifer released her wrist casually, like it was no big deal. Remu staggered a bit, then immediately turned and puked near the railing. She wiped her mouth, spun around, and shouted, "Are you insane? How dare you bring me here without my damn permission?" Her eyes flared bright purple, crackling with energy. She was pissed. Lucifer just sighed and ran a hand through his hair. "Relax. Like I said, I need your help." The calmness in his voice made her snap even more. That annoying, casual tone like none of this mattered. Her fists clenched. Magic circled her palms, glowing hot and violet. And she started chanting under her breath. Whoosh! Flames erupted out of nowhere, swallowing Lucifer whole. He screamed, dropping to the ground as the fire tore through him. His skin cracked, smoke rising, his clothes gone in seconds. Remu stood above him, her voice shaking with rage. "I've been waiting to do this for years. And now I'm not holding back." She raised her hands, and the flames roared higher, burning hotter. Lucifer writhed on the rooftop floor, eyes wide with pain. His body was seared, charred, a twisted mess of steam and ash. But then, "Stop!" Lucifer's voice boomed like thunder. His eyes flared crimson, brighter than ever. Boom! A wave of pure pressure exploded out from him, slamming into Remu like a truck. Her flames vanished instantly, snuffed out. Her breath caught in her throat. The rooftop trembled. Predator's aura. It blanketed the space like a black fog. Heavy, cold, unforgiving. Remu fell to one knee, heart pounding. It felt like her lungs were shrinking, like she was being stared at by something ancient, something that hunted for sport. Lucifer stood, steam rising off his body, skin slowly stitching back together. His red eyes locked on her. He was still naked, still burning with fury, but calm, dead calm. Remu gulped. For the first time, she felt fear. "You foolish girl," Lucifer said, his voice low and cold as he walked toward Remu. Before she could react, he grabbed her by the neck and lifted her clean off the ground. Her legs kicked in the air, her hands grabbing at his wrist, but he didn't budge. "I might need your help," he said, tone calm, too calm. "But don't think for a second that I won't kill you. There are a lot of witches in this world, Remu. You're not special. His red eyes locked on hers as he continued, slow and deliberate. I could end you right here, right now, and make up some story. They believe it. Even your mother. By the time she finds out the truth, I'll be strong enough to burn your whole coven to the ground. Remu's eyes widened, and a cold sweat broke across her back. His grip tightened just a little. From now on, you answered me. Your life belongs to me. One wrong move, and you're gone. He saw the fear in her eyes, then suddenly yanked her aside like she weighed nothing. She hit the ground, coughing hard as he stood tall, completely healed, not a single mark on his body. What I actually wanted, he said, raising into his hand as his daylight ring came to view, was for you to help me with this. Remu coughed and slowly looked up, her eyes catching the ring immediately. Her expression shifted, shock, curiosity, then understanding. Whatever anger she had was gone now. She got to her feet, a little shaky, then stepped close to Lucifer and took his hand carefully. Her fingers brushed against the ring, eyes scanning every inch of it like a spell book. But then, something poked her stomach. She froze, looked down. Her face went blank. Lucifer blinked. Oh! Remu's gaze slowly traveled back up to meet his eyes. Her cheeks twitched. Seriously? She asked, completely deadpan. Lucifer just shrugged. Wasn't on purpose. Can't help what heals with me. Remu let out a slow sigh, clearly holding back the urge to light him on fire again. Just hold still and don't say a word, she muttered, tried to ignore the awkward situation as she focused on the ring. Lucifer grinned, saying nothing, but the smirk on his face said it all. Remu finally pulled her hand away from the ring and sighed, frustrated. Just as I thought. I can't crack the secret behind this thing, she muttered, folding her arms. That leaves us with one option, my mom. She might be able to help. Lucifer raised a brow. But I know you won't want to part with the ring, Remu added, glancing at it again. So, I'll cast a daylight spell on you temporarily while I take it to her. Lucifer cut her off with a scoff. What do you take me for? Hell no. You're not taking this ring. He took a step closer, his voice firm. You want answers? Then take me to your mother. I'm not letting this out of my sight. And, considering how even you couldn't figure it out, I'm guessing none of your kind can recreate it. He smirked. So right now, I'm the only lead you have. That makes me valuable. Set the meeting. Lucifer had already pieced it together. They wanted to reverse engineer the ring. Probably to mass produce it, give vampires more freedom, get more power, maybe even make money off it. And he was the key. If I'd known your mom was this important, I'd have skipped the daughter and gone straight to the boss, he said with a smug grin. Remu clicked her tongue. TCH, you think it's that easy to get an audience with my mom? Then she felt another poke on her belly. Her eyes twitched. For the love of, stop that. Lucifer's grin widened as a cheeky thought hit him. Don't get so worked up. One day, you'll be begging for it, screaming my name so loud, the whole world will hear. Remu's eyes widened. A faint blush crept to her cheeks as she quickly turned her head away. With a snap of her fingers, clothes materialized on Lucifer's body. Lucifer looked down at the outfit, unimpressed. You could have done this earlier but chose to stare? Huh, didn't know you were that thirsty. It's not like I was looking, idiot, Remu snapped. And shut up. That's the only outfit you're getting. He scowled at the style. This isn't even my taste. Then go shop for yourself, drama queen, she hissed. Anyway, I'll talk to my mom. She's been dying to see this ring. You might get summoned soon, so stay alert. With a wave of her hand, a glowing portal opened behind her. She stepped into it without another word. Lucifer watched her go, licking his lips with a smirk. Feisty. I like that. Then, vamp speed, he vanished from the rooftop in a blur. A flash of black mist, and Lucifer appeared in Anita's dorm room. She was sitting cross-legged on her bed, tapping her foot against the wooden floor, clearly restless. The moment she saw him, her eyes lit up, and she jumped to her feet. Wait, does this mean I can walk in the sun now? She asked excitedly, eyes wide. Whoa, easy, Lucifer chuckled, pulling 2 blood bags from behind his coat. Not yet, but here, figured you'd be starving. Anita blinked, surprised, then smiled as she took the bags. Thanks. He leaned against the wall, arms crossed. I'm working on the daylight ring. It's taking time, but we're getting there. Just be patient, okay? You'll feel the sun again soon. Anita nodded, her smile dimming a little. Yeah, I trust you. She punctured one of the blood bags and drank slowly. Her fangs peeked out as the red liquid slid down her throat. Lucifer looked around the room, eyes scanning the fairy lights, books, and posters. He noticed a few photos taped to the wall, one of Anita and her roommate laughing at a beach. Speaking of, he said with a smirk, how haven't you torn your roommate's throat open yet? Anita gave a weak laugh, wiping her mouth. I almost did. Lucifer raised an eyebrow. She leaned back on the wall. Maybe because I fed at the club last night. Plus your little control lecture helped. But if she'd walked in here a minute ago, yeah, I'd have drained her dry. She stared at the empty blood bag in her hands for a second. God, listen to me, she whispered. I'm talking about killing like it's just normal. Lucifer stepped closer, his voice calm. It is normal. For us. You're not human anymore. You'll get used to it. Anita looked up at him, conflicted but slowly accepting it. Then Lucifer's phone buzzed. He pulled it out and saw the caller ID. Remu. He sighed. Speak of the witch. He answered. Yo. Remu's voice came through, irritated as always. We got a problem. Lucifer's eyes narrowed. What now? My mom agreed to meet. She's curious about the ring, Remu said. But she's also suspicious. If you show up without a gift or proper manners, she might just rip your heart out before you say hello. Lucifer grinned. Sounds like a warm welcome. Remu groaned. I'm serious. She doesn't play. So clean up your attitude, or something nice, and try not to be annoying for once. Lucifer glanced down at his clothes. TCH. I am the gift. I'm hanging up. Click. Lucifer slid the phone into his pocket. Well, he muttered, turning to Anita. Looks like I'm meeting the queen, witch herself. You gonna be okay? Anita asked, still sipping from the second bag. Lucifer smirked. She should be the one worrying. And with that, he vanished in a blur again, leaving only a faint wisp of shadow behind. Later in the evening, Lucifer stepped out of the sleek black car and stared at the towering gate of the lunar mansion. The place hadn't changed a bit. You wait here, Zane, he said, glancing over his shoulder. I won't be long. Be back before you even miss me. Zane gave a silent nod from the driver's seat. Lucifer adjusted his collar and walked toward the gate. It creaked open on its own, like the house already knew who was coming. Typical witch stuff. He walked the stone path with calm, confident steps. The mansion loomed over him like a sleeping giant. He remembered this place from childhood. He'd only been here once or twice, but it had left a mark. Lucifer reached the main door and pushed it open without knocking. And there she was, Greta Bloom, standing at the end of the grand hallway, bathed in soft moonlight filtering through stained glass. Elegant, intimidating, power dripping from her like perfume.